Democrats don't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. Republicans can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. A bitch ass nigga can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. You coon ass niggas can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. Listen here, this is a fact of life. I be rapping like Nat Turner came back to life. Grab Donald Trump by the pussy, he ain't acting right. I never run from a conflict, I be glad to fight. It's a very cold world that we live in. And somebody please tell Elizabeth you're not an Indian. You just trying to con them people to get the benefit. Just another immigrant, stealing from the Indians. That's some punk ass shit and that's too lame. Now we finna step over to Andrew Yang. And you a sucker, you can never speak for black folks. Fake ass pandemic, trying to get the black vote. The Democrats don't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. Republicans can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. A bitch ass nigga can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. You coon ass niggas can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. You know your boy be high off sativa. Kamala wasn't popping, so we said bye Felicia. She ain't had a right policy. We ain't trying to meet her. Y'all can take Biden too. Bye, we don't need her. We don't need Roland Martin or that coon Al Sharpton. Didn't need Cory Booker from the start, man. I don't fuck with police and no snitch. You know I'm coming with the heat when I spit it. The Democrats don't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. Republicans can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. A bitch ass nigga can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. You coon ass niggas can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. If you ever go to court and this is your luck, try not to get fucked by Benjamin Crump. I know it's hard. You and all go is hard. But who the fuck is Amy Cloak? Put her picture up on the bullseye and start throwing darts. People cut our organs out our bodies, that's a stolen heart. They can't save us from the flood like Noah's Ark. Black lives always matter, we finna go for ours. So then we savages, we don't need to pot the piss. Mike Bloomberg can suck dick with that stop and frisk, bitch. You ain't speaking for us, we don't know you. Bernie Sanders, they get your funky ass on too. The Democrats don't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. Republicans can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. A bitch ass nigga can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me. You coon ass niggas can't speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me.
I'm talking about shout it going crazy. People going crazy in them motherfuckers. Run that shit back, man.
But it's nothing. Nothing about a woman on a day. Man made the car. Man made the train to carry the heavy load. Man made the electrolyte to take us out of the dark. Man made the boat for the water. Let the devil know me now. Man thinks about a little bit of baby girl and a baby boy. And man makes them happy. But after man make everything we can, do you know that man makes money? To buy from other men. This is a man's world. But
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen.
Greetings, blessed greetings. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Frontline Black News. My apologies, we weren't able to do Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced tonight. So we're gonna have to reschedule that probably for tomorrow. But this is season 5, episode 2, part 3, continuation of the Frontline Black News. And we'll be discussing the topics we didn't get to in part 3, which was last night. That's
Right.
Eric Adams corruption case dismissed.
Right.
The Big Mad. This is real shit. Eric Adams goes off exposing Biden's corrupt DOJ on that punk ass Andrew Schulz Flagrant. It's the same mofo that was joking about raping Kendrick Lamar. He clapped back. She's a fake lawyer, Jasmine Croccett, fake Bolton John's family lawyer. Then Brian Donalds goes off on Jasmine Crockett's white wife comment. And then we got breaking top MS-13 gang leader arrested. Just happened about a week ago. So we're like a week behind on the migrant news. My dad got deported. Migrant gang leader caught in Virginia. Oh, my dad got deported. The truth behind Maryland's father deported to El Salvador. Then here in Colorado, we had a situation with Jalin Seabron. Jalin Seabron's family pushes for release of sheriff bodycam, claiming the video vindicates him. And then we got our unhoused neighbor news and our illegal migrant news. So
And then also too, Brother Che, just came across a recent development of a black woman that got assaulted by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department up in Lancaster, California. It was disgusting.
Okay, well, we can discuss that tomorrow, Shabaka, on Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced.
Okay.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Oh, it was bad. It was brutal. You know what I mean? It's because she was filming, I believe, because the story's still unfolding. She was filming the sheriff's deputies, harassing her husband. And she was saying, "Don't beat my husband," and then they start attacking her. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, real big men. You know what I'm saying? It's bad enough the woman is seeing her old man getting hooked up, heading over there to Wayside because.
In the building.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Hey, win, lose. Okay. And so therefore, as you all know, who are familiar with LA County, Wayside is right up there near Lancaster. Actually, it's right there by Magic Mountain. You know what I mean? And so, yeah. So once again, where's all these black LA County Board of Supervisors, okay, carrying bags? And like I said, the black politician is a joke. The only one who's worthy of going out to vote for is a man by the name of Jesse Paris in Colorado.
Oh, thank you, Shabaka.
Yeah, you say is because, Brother Paris, we sat down, we talked, we do not always agree, but we do disagree agreeably. And you the man for the job to raise some ruckus right there legally for the people, man, in the state of Colorado. You see what I'm saying? And then hopefully we'll catch a trend, okay? So the dumpster is the dumpster, you know what I'm saying? And I certainly hope I don't see that sorry ass Van Jones getting up there on TV crying again. That's crazy.
Oh my God. All right, Shabaka, so I'm going to hop right into it because we got a lot of topics to get to. And
okay.
Long time. So we talked about this on Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced, but we didn't talk about it on Frontline Black News.
Right.
Eric Adams has been cleared of all charges. Corruption cases.
Sickening.
So go over that. So TD Media Group's going to give us an update on that.
Okay. And I think, okay. Yeah, I see TD right there. Okay.
With Eric Adams, and that were a part of his cabinet, a part of his re-election team, and then the indictment eventually came down on Eric Adams. And once again, it was retaliation, and we all know that that's what it was. But in my opinion, justice has been served, and the case has been thrown out by the Trump DOJ, right? And Democrats are very upset about it, and that makes me happy. Anytime they're upset, I'm in a good mood. And I just want to go through, some of the reasons that they're upset. There's one reason in particular that really kind of made me chuckle, right? But first here, I want us to listen to what, pull this video up for you guys right now. What Adam Schiff had to say, right? Adam Schiff made a comment about this, and let's take a listen to what the senator stated about this charge, the case against Eric Adams being dismissed by Trump's DOJ. Let's get into that right
speaking of the Adam Schiff that I think he is, he's not a consul.
But the whole broader effort of the department to go after universities, to go after law firms, is just designed to intimidate. And they're trying to do the same thing with members of Congress. The case in New York against Mayor Adams that was just dismissed by the court this morning is probably the most egregious abuse, the most patently obvious, out in the open, corrupt action by the department that I've ever seen. I was part of the department 30 years ago, but I've never seen anything like it. The court dismissing this case against the mayor, not because there's any problem with the evidence in this serious corruption case against the mayor of New York, but because they wanted to leverage the mayor to use as a political pawn in their immigration policy. If that kind of thing is allowed to happen, that's the end of the rule of law in America.
Now, the reason the case was dismissed, Senator Schiff, and you know that this was retaliation by the Biden administration and the Trump administration, Pam Bondi and his DOJ is just doing the right thing by dropping this case, right? And what he stated here at the very end is a lie. This is something that's been repeated by Democrats over and over again. And I want to play that one more time because this lie that he's getting ready to tell, Eric Adams actually proves them to be wrong. So let's listen to this one more time.
This serious corruption case against the mayor of New York, but because they wanted to leverage the mayor to use as a political pawn.
He said they wanted to leverage the mayor to use as a political pawn. What does he mean by that? Well, I should have stated this earlier, but the case was dismissed with prejudice, if I'm getting that correct. It was dismissed with prejudice, meaning that the case cannot be brought back up again. It's done. It's over. If the case was dismissed without prejudice, which is what the DOJ was pushing to do, right? They were going to dismiss it without prejudice, then that means that the case could be brought back up again later on in the future. And because of that, the talking points that these guys were running with is, look at what Trump is doing. He's hanging this case over Eric Adams' head so that Eric Adams can do his bidding and assist Tom Homan with mass deportation. And that's the only reason that they're doing this. But with the case being dismissed with prejudice, now it means it's officially over, right? And you would think that with that being the case, and if what they were saying about Eric Adams was true, that the Trump administration was holding the case over his head, right? And that's the only reason he's cooperating with Eric Adams, that he's cooperating with Tom Homan and Trump. What we're getting ready to see right now, let me pull this up for you. Look at this video here. If that were true, then Eric Adams would be, number one, jumping for joy and would not in any way, shape, form, or fashion be looking to seemingly associate himself with the Trump administration in any way, shape, form, or fashion, right? But that's not how things played out when Eric Adams gave his speech after the case was dismissed. And I want to play the last 2 minutes of his speech. It was only about 5 minutes long. He didn't speak for too long after the case was dismissed, right? He spoke for about 5 minutes, but let's listen to the last 2 minutes because he's going to do something that's going to make you just go, oh, okay? So let's check this out right now. Let me pull this video up. Let me pull this video down, and I'm going to pull the Eric Adams video up. And while I'm doing this, just make sure you smash that like button for me and subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Let's listen to this here and let's hear what Eric Adams had to say. But most importantly, more than hearing what he has to say, pay attention to what he's going to do. Pay attention to what he's going to do. Let's watch this.
I'm a New Yorker, and this is the greatest city on the globe.
and it's a privilege being your mayor, something I did not take for granted one day. And I'm going to continue to serve you. That's exactly what we're doing today, because New Yorkers are still counting on us. We need to continue delivering a safer, more affordable cities, because families are counting on us to accomplish that task. As I have repeatedly said, I have always been solely beholden to the people of this city. No special interests, no political opponents, but just everyday New Yorkers. Just you. And I'm going to continue to do that. So today we turn the page, we move forward together, because the real story of New York City isn't about me or this case. It's about you and the bright future we're building together. I want to say God bless you, New York City, and God bless what we have accomplished. And many of you know my faith. When all that came at me, Jesus stepped in, and he uses who he uses. And New Yorkers stop me all the time in trying to find the rationale behind this. And I found it in this book. I'm going to encourage every New Yorker to read it. Read it and understand how we can never allow this to happen to another innocent American. God bless you.
Way to go, Jeff.
Now, when he did that, I was looking at that originally, and I said, wait, what? He wants all New Yorkers to read, what is the name of this book? What is this? Government Gangsters? I wasn't familiar with this book. So I said, all right, well, let's look into this. What's Government Gangsters? Let me pull it up. And what came up was this. Boom. Government Gangsters, the Deep State, the Truth, and the Battle for Our Democracy. By who? By Kash Patel. By yours truly, Kash Patel, Donald Trump's FBI director. When I saw that, I said to myself, oh man, Eric, come on, man. Just go ahead and come out the MAGA closet, bro. Just come out the MAGA closet. It's cool, brother. It's cool. It's cool. It's okay for you to be a black man and MAGA. There's nothing wrong with that. You won't. Well, you will be judged by people like Don Lemon, but who cares about what people like Don Lemon has to say?
Hey,
right?
Chad.
It's okay, man. You know, everybody knows I'm MAGA. I'm okay. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm doing just fine, and you'll be okay too. But what's most important is that him holding up that book at the end, this right here, from Kash Patel, him holding the book up at the end, and then saying that you all need to read this book to understand why and how this happened to me, right? From Kash Patel, Trump's FBI director. What that shows is that what they were saying, the Democrats, was always a lie. This idea that what was happening was, what's the saying? I think quid pro quo, I believe, you're right? That Trump is only dismissing the case, but is dismissing it without prejudice so that he can hang it over his head and force Eric Adams to do what he wants Eric Adams to do. Eric Adams, holding his book up at the end, says, no, that's not true. I was going to stand on business and work with Trump regardless, whether the case was dismissed or not, or whether it was dismissed with prejudice or without prejudice. And obviously, now that he's holding that book up at the very end of the video, he's showing this entire time he was with Trump, with the case dismissed or without it dismissed. So the whole talking point that Trump was holding the case over his head, it's a moot point, and it's a lie. It was never true. And I want you to see this, because as soon as I saw Eric Adams held this book up, I said to myself, let me do a quick Google search of Eric Adams and Kash Patel, right? I just wanted to see what came up. And it was so just funny to see. Look at this. Oh, they're so mad. New York Times, Adams praises Kash Patel's book, doubling down on Trump alliance. Adam plugs Patel's book on deep state in remarks after charges drop. Look at this here. Celebrating drop charges. This was a celebration. Celebrating drop charges. Mayor Adams promote Trump FBI Director Kash Patel. And then there's this one right here. I want to read this article very quickly. Adams shills book by MAGA appointee Kash Patel moments after charges dismissed. Oh, this is such a salty post right here. What is this from the Brooklyn Daily Eagle?
I like and subscribe.
Oh, that's such a salty headline. Adams shills book by MAGA appointee Kash Patel moments after charges drop. Let's read this and then we're going to get on out of here. Like I said, I wasn't going to be here long. Oh, man. In a crystallizing moment during Mayor Eric Adams' speech on Wednesday following court's dismissal with prejudice of federal corruption charges against him, the mayor defiantly waved the book, government gangsters, by President Donald Trump's controversial MAGA FBI head, Kash Patel, encouraging every New Yorker to read it to understand how we can never allow this to happen to another innocent American. While the intent of the court's decision was to loosen the Trump administration's leverage over the mayor by ensuring the case cannot be revived in the future, you see how they're still running with the line? Adams made it clear at that moment that he is still with the administration's agenda. I mean, he was always with it. They were never hanging the charges over his head, right? That was never the case. That's not what was going on. But that's a lie that Democrats kept running with, and it backfired on them. And now they look silly and goofy. Why? Because Eric Adams just proved I was running with Trump the entire time, whether the case was dropped or if it wasn't dropped. And with all that being said, like I said, this was a short one, but we'll be back tomorrow for a regular time stream.
All right, Shabaka. So it's like we called it. Eric Adams got these charges put on him. One against Biden.
Right.
And we either thought Biden, Trump was going to pardon him, or the case was dismissed. And the latter happened. The case was dismissed.
Right.
And Democrats are running around like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off, trying to figure out. Yeah. Because their lawfare backfired. They tried to practice lawfare, and it backfired on them.
See, so this here just goes to show you that these black ass politicians are not for black people. You see? And this is why I say what I say, because I can't waste no more time at my age going into these rigged ass booths for these kangaroo ass court individuals. You see? And the sad part about it is you had so many of our people go out and get killed for the right to vote. So what did they do? Did they die for nothing? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
They thought that was the way toward liberation and freedom.
Yeah. You know? And that's what's so sad, man. You know what I'm saying? That is what is so sad, is that so many of our people went out there and did all this, getting killed and stuff like that. And once the fuck again, they fucked around and found out.
Yeah, so Eric Adams is up for re-election, Shabaka. He's going to run as an independent.
He's going to run as an independent.
Yep.
And then he's going to expect the black community to go out there and vote for him.
Yep.
Again. Yeah, man, that's insane. It really is. It
All
really
right.
is insane. And then, you know, in each election time, they play us for chumps, you know?
Mm-hmm. So the jabs in the
Yeah.
building said he went 10 rounds today, Shabaka.
Oh, okay, so you did 10 rounds in sparring. Okay, you get your road work in, jab.
Yeah, he said he went for 10 rounds today.
Okay. And then too, okay, so when's your next fight?
I don't know if he's still here, but if he's still here, Jab, when's your next fight?
Okay. Wait for Jab to get back with us. Yeah.
Eric Adams was so delighted about his case being dismissed, he decided to go on a suspected white supremacist podcast. Who I don't know how you can make a joke about this, but he joked about raping Kendrick Lamar. So,
oh man,
to go on this dude's podcast and expose Biden's DOJ. So I'm a fan of this damn Andrew Schulz. As far as I'm concerned, he can eat shit and die. But
right.
I play what Eric Adams said on this on his podcast about Biden's DOJ coming after him.
Okay.
People told me when I criticized what was happening to our city around the migrants and asylum seekers, they said, Eric, they got many ways to come at you.
Really?
Right.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the Chico Banding. With the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we have to talk about the mayor of New Venezuela, Eric Adams, because he is currently on his revenge tour. As far as I'm concerned, that's what I'm calling this. Eric Adams is on his revenge tour. Now, first thing is first, for those of you who don't know, but I'm sure many of you know already, Eric Adams is obviously running for re-election for mayor of New Venezuela, but he is running as an independent. For the time being, he is no longer a Democrat, at least for this election. He is running as an independent. Now, that aside, as we all know as well, Trump's DOJ dropped the corruption case that the Biden DOJ placed on Eric Adams. And we all know that this was retaliation by the Biden administration against Eric Adams for him having the audacity to speak out against Biden-Harris administration and the role that they played in the migrant crisis, to which it was something that deliberately occurred by the Biden-Harris administration. We all get that already. But now Eric Adams is on his revenge tour. Now that he's been freed of his corruption case, he is on his revenge tour, and his first stop was Andrew Schulz's podcast. And on this podcast with Andrew Schulz, he is going in on Biden. He's going in on the corrupt DOJ. And as he's doing this, he's referencing Kash Patel's book that he was holding up at his press conference that he delivered after the corruption case was dismissed. Many of you remember, because we covered it here at the end of his press conference, Eric Adams held up the Government Gangsters book by Kash Patel. As we all know, Kash Patel is the FBI director of Donald Trump, and he has been referencing and pushing that book ever since, stressing for people to read it so that they can understand the level of corruption behind the lawfare that occurs with a weaponized DOJ, particularly the weaponized DOJ from the Biden administration. So let's get into this clip right now and let's unpack some of what Eric Adams had to say.
Because what Biden's Justice Department did was unbelievable. You placed mothers on FBI watch lists because you are worried about what they're being taught to children in school.
Wait, what is that?
Yeah, you know, they had mothers and families placed on FBI watch lists, terrorist watch lists, because of their advocacy around some of the things that they're teaching their children in school. They wanted to acknowledge, they call them terrorists. I'm telling you, you got to see what that Justice Department did. And
hold on, pause right there. That's diabolical. We're designating parents that care about their children as terrorists. because they have the audacity to care about, want to look into, and change the nonsensical curriculum that their children are being taught in school. Understand what he's speaking to right now is, what I like to call, and what I got from my man Rob from the BLR2 channel. He's speaking on the LGTV community, right? And all of the LGTV curriculum that was being pushed onto children in schools under the Biden administration. Their kids. They don't need to be learning about sexuality. They don't need to be learning about anything of that nature concerning their body parts and what that means to them and what that means to you. These kids are in first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade. They shouldn't even be thinking about this stuff right now. That's largely what this is all about. And you had the Biden DOJ essentially put them on a watch list that would be equivalent to a terrorist watch list to make sure that we keep an eye on these parents that care about their children a little bit too much.
And a lot of people want to ignore what they talk about my case.
Yeah.
But when Biden pardoned his son, he said, the Justice Department has been politicized.
Yeah. That was
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
We're not like staunch Biden people.
Right. It's like, it is a tricky thing because, I'm pardoning my kid 100% if I have that power. But at the same time, I understand the frustration that you
1,000%.
must absolutely feel. Okay, so
and we're not hearing no one from
the same criticism.
No one from the Justice Department quit.
Yeah, I agree, Mac. 285.
I think what you're
When
doing
they
is wrong.
start
So I'm
getting
quitting.
13, 14.
I'm telling you.
Now,
But
what
not
he's
at
speaking to here is, as many of you may know, but in case you don't know, when the original, not pardon, but the request for the DOJ to drop the charges on Eric Adams concerning the corruption case, when that originally went down, immediately, I believe it was 5 to 6 people within the DOJ.
Did you share the link out? Yes, you must have. Greetings,
You gotta be on my phone. You're knocking my phone up. I can't even call my mother. Is she going to the hospital?
What?
Your mother's going to the hospital.
Well, look, that's a whole nother story. You want me to talk about it on live now? Yeah. Are y'all ready to get strapped up and put that lead out?
Oh, sister.
What done happened?
All right, yeah. Look, I just saw. Look, I'm not gonna go in what happened to my mother. I'll let y'all know that later on. That's a private conversation.
I understand, sister, and our prayers go out to your mother, of course.
That's right.
Yes. Definitely.
All right. So can y'all send this to my email so I come in the right way so you don't be hogging up my phone?
Email or the link.
Email.
Okay. You have to give me. Wait a minute, Desiree. I do got your email. All right. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Okay. All right. Okay. Please continue, Brother Che. Okay, because I'm going to. Because I'm gonna hit Desiree with the email. Okay, but Eric Adams is crazy. You know what I'm saying? He belongs in jail. You know what I mean?
Of course, he's just vindictive, Shabaka. The Biden administration turned on him.
Yeah.
I still haven't gotten the email yet.
Okay, it's in the process, honey. Okay.
Well, maybe if you do the process and then you can come back to the little punk boy.
The little who?
Punk boy.
Oh, you talking about punk ass?
Yeah, and that he is. You know what I'm saying? He is disgusting. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you know what he did? Okay. You know, for all those years.
Yeah, send it to her email.
I bet you still ain't sent the email out, Shabaka.
Okay, sister, I'm trying to find you right now. I got you.
One time. It's evident.
What?
How did you get in? Is he just log into the studio or what?
No, Shabaka sent it to my phone. He was supposed to send it to my email.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Oh man. Ooh, boy, games these people play, man. Damn.
Nine. As a matter of fact, I'll
Hold on, sister.
I'm gonna let the
Boy,
video.
Silicon Valley ain't shit.
Oh, don't be talking about San Francisco. At least they friendlier out here.
At least
Shit.
they-
All y'all motherfuckers gonna do is shoot everybody up. You know, really be the cowboy. Shit, you don't even care if it's a motherfucking criminal or not.
Wow, wow.
Well, sister, you out in the wild, wild west. Wild, wild west. That's where you at. You know what I'm saying?
The 21st century.
Boy, that is San Francisco.
The Barbary Coast, as in barbarians. Yes, ma'am. That
Well,
is
whatever.
the
Look,
place.
they might send somebody off so you can join a cult. And you know, and they tell you that
Hey, that's what Jim Jones started at, sister. Glad you brought it up. That's what Jim Jones started at.
Oh my God.
That's what Jim Jones started at. Yeah, they got a cult for your ass up there. Yeah, that's what daggone sure.
Look, did I get the fucking email?
Sister, what I gotta do, the email is in process to you, honey. Okay, because I gotta make sure I'm right. I gotta write it out in longhand on the link because
Honey, wait a minute. Is that a sexual harassment? Wait a minute. Hold it.
I sent you to her.
Look,
yeah, that's what I'm doing, brother Che.
That sexual harassment, he called me honey.
Sexual harassment, sister. I ain't got a bucket or a pot to piss in, so you be wasting your time trying to sue me. Shit. All I got, sister, is a bunch of debt. You want some of it? That's what I got is debt.
That was funny.
Help me with that.
Dealing with them IRS motherfuckers. Look, they the biggest gangsters out here.
Yeah, they are.
Well, thank the dump. Well, we're gonna be glad you brought it up. You know, we're gonna be talking about that crooked bastard too.
He was
he belongs to go right straight to jail.
He was trying
to the IRS talking about some. Wait a minute, and then they don't even show you no paperwork. Like, well, you owe. Wait a minute. Hold it.
Sister Desiree, I just emailed it to you.
All right, sounds good.
All right, you send it to her, brother Che.
Yeah,
because I gotta sit up here and type the whole URL because they
no,
won't allow me.
All you have to do was forward the email, but I got it.
All right, okay.
Right here, finally.
And she should be hit with another one too. Okay.
A Telegram or so. You stupid Mac 285.
What would Mac 285 say? His sooner Well, believe it or not, Mac 285, the Telegram or the Telegraph did start there in San Francisco, man. It was running parallel with the railroad going all the way there to the NYC. You know?
Put a tape.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, man, I think a brother invented that.
Yep, we covered that, Shabaka, on the episode on the part 1. We covered that 50 black inventions or 100 black inventions you didn't know were invented by black people.
Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying?
And then that came up there right now.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let us finish with this one.
And just read it very quickly. Trump's DOJ orders to drop Eric Adams' case spark mass resignations. 6 senior Justice Department officials, including Manhattan's top federal prosecutor, resigned on Thursday rather than comply with an order to dismiss corruption charges against New York City's mayor, according to internal Justice Department letters seen by Reuters and people familiar with the matter. This was largely theatric. Matter of fact, this wasn't largely theatric. It was 100% theatric because, like he stated, the Biden administration was engaging in all type of lawfare, and no one within the DOJ said to themselves, you know what, this is wrong. We need to step down, right, and protest against this. Nobody did that. This is only foolishness that occurs under the Trump administration. these people oppose any and everything that Trump stands for, regardless of if it's right or wrong. Trump could come up with the cure to cancer right now, and you will see Democrats and all other deranged individuals fighting against that cure for cancer. And this is essentially what Eric Adams is talking about here. You guys are standing on this fake morality concerning my charges being dropped, but when it comes to the corruption of Biden, everybody's quiet.
Yeah.
Nobody has anything to say. And this is just pretty typical of the government that we're seeing that Trump is essentially trying to dismantle.
Okay, sister.
Read Cash's book.
This is the thing that I think is is really frustrating. Is that like we know your name, we know Biden's name, we know Hunter's name, we know Trump's name. These people that you were talking about or Cass was talking about.
And I bet you know who got that stash.
He goes into what was happening in the Justice Department under the previous administration, and how the number of people who were under investigation was just political people. You know, I mean, the book is a good book.
Do you get a nudge, like when you start speaking out?
Yes.
Do you get like a private phone call from somebody or an email that goes, "Hey, why don't we go a different direction about this? It might not be good for you politically." Does that happen?
What people told me when I criticized what was happening to our city.
This is the thing that bothers me right here. Why is he sitting down?
They said they got many ways.
I don't know. I can't
to come at you.
Really?
Right. It's not just unique to politics. It becomes more costly when you're using prosecutors as a weapon against political opponents. You know.
Okay, so he's saying using prostitutes as weapons against political opponents.
Wow.
Think about it.
I didn't know.
Okay. That sounds about right.
Think about it.
That's why they call them tricks.
And it cost me over $3 million
personally.
Right.
Hold on. So
think about this for a moment. You know what I'm saying? This is real shit.
So these people would 100% be totally fine with you being behind your bars for 35 years, completely broke.
And then on top of that, what are you doing about fucking 50 years?
Yeah.
What about what needs to be
Make an
done
example.
Read Cash's book.
Look at this. Wow. It's retardation. Look
They
at
would
that.
100% be fine with essentially an innocent man spending 35 years behind bars, broke, behind something that he A, didn't do, and B, was the accusations are something that was extremely frivolous, right? Extremely frivolous as it pertains to what they were levying against him and calling it corruption. And you have to think about it. I'm pretty sure Biden's DOJ was looking at it like, hey, we're being lenient on you. 35 years in prison and broke. I mean, you could be, right? It's not like our government hasn't engaged in political assassinations across the world, let alone within our country in the past. We all know that they have. Us putting you in jail behind for 35 years is a lot better than you being, right? And that's how they look at it. So yeah, they have no problem with sending you to jail and ruining the rest of your life behind something that you A, didn't do, and B, to the degree that you may have done it, it was something extremely frivolous that you should not be spending any time in jail for, let alone should corruption cases be brought up against you. But with all that being said, that does it for today's news. It's going to be...
Thank God, because I can't stand that dude, Andrew Schulz. Fuck him. All right, Shabaka, what are your thoughts on what Eric Adams on this suspected white supremacist?
Eric Adams needs to go right straight to fucking jail. He needs to walk the concrete, get him in his county blues, throw him there in mainstream population.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Isn't that the mayor
of New York City?
Of New York? Is that him?
Yes, that's him.
Yeah, that's him.
I just had to make sure because we talking about a cool motherfucker right now.
Yeah.
So I'm
Pretty
just
much.
saying, I just want to make sure, I just cleared it all up. I know that cool nigga.
Oh yeah, exactly, Mac 285. I try to speak the facts is best of what's left of my memory, man, because I'm kind of like shell shocked, man, from all the bullshit that I've been through in the last 50 years. And these black ass politicians do not have our interest at heart. Classic example, Barack Obama.
Oh my God.
He goes to Kenya.
We're not even talking about that. How about they never had our interests at heart?
Exactly.
Right, and I tell you,
whether it was Barack Obama or somebody else, they never had our interests at heart.
And
they
to
turned
prove
around,
your point even further,
with the Republican, created a democracy just to say that, hey, we're here. And then when that wasn't well enough, they turned around and derived their liberal party or whatever they were doing, just let you know they could do this and that. Because there was no other such governments as far as through the neo-colonialism but Republican of the Republic.
Yeah.
So all the other stuff is
that sounds reasoning right there. But with the dumpster being back, the only thing I got to say is what government? What you got is a bunch of crooks hiding behind kangaroo courts, hand-picked laws that are so broad and ambiguous that cannot be understood by the common man, and therefore those are not statutes. But you think the Supreme Court is going to do its job? No. You think the Department of Justice is going to do its job? No.
They're working on it. They're working on it. I just want to put out here. I just want to put out here.
Well,
I just want to say that I have faith in the people that are in their positions to do the right thing, regardless of whatever bureaucracy that we have the state. Mm-hmm. And I'm giving you guys faith. Giving you faith.
Okay, well, Sister Cat, what it is the DOJ, Eric Adams, London Bridge, what's clown's name there in my birthplace, Brandon Johnson, all of them need to be hooked and booked and walk the concrete in the general population.
In a perfect world.
You know, he's a public figure. His life's in danger. Don't you know is that everybody's life who's in the county jail, regardless of what county, rather if it's San Francisco County, rather if it's Crook County, rather if it's Denver County, rather if it's New York County, every damn body's life is in jeopardy when you're incarcerated.
Yep.
Well, I think that we should probably go on to the fact of what? But fucking. I'm just like, don't laugh. This is real truth now. You know they did it. You know they did it. And then on top of that,
they did
go through that process or however, whatever, and then all of a sudden you forgot. And just because maybe, you know, they're not tying your legs up on the poles anymore or spreading, let the women know they giving it up freely. Say, hey, it's okay for you to, you know, have anal sex with me. It's okay.
Oh my God, sister, that's right.
Mac 285 is saying what?
I'm gonna move us along now.
Mac 285 is saying
to this damn.
But Eric Adams, he needs to be booked. He needs to walk the concrete. And another thing that I'm going to drop out there, any politician who is with the public trust that is accused of a crime should get no bail. He needs to go right straight to friggin' jail in the general population, because that way there he gets to have some long-term conversations with his constituents. Think about it.
And I guess they're going to be rubbing on chests and doing everything else like they do the pedophiles they are.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. Yep. You see, in jail, everybody's life is at risk. You see what I'm saying? So what they're going to do with this trick is they're going to PC him up. Well, he's the former mayor and all that. He ain't no mayor. He's a crook. Okay. Just like
dismissed. So he's not walking no concrete. He's not doing none of that. Instead, he going on Andrew.
Once again, these kangaroo courts. So everybody in that court needs to be disbarred, the judge, and mainly the prosecutor.
And then on top of that, like Jesse was saying, he ain't doing all that stuff. He gonna go to a country club somewhere.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Camp Snoopy.
So
throw his ass out there on Alcatraz. Desiree, you got a perfect view of it.
Oh my gosh,
really? How do you know I got a perfect view of it? Oh, well, you know what? I'm
sick of your sister. Right all there. You got to do is get on a Powell Street cable car, and it's gonna take you in front of Jerry Gelly's.
Perfect view of it. Look at it from the bottom.
I've been on Powell Street.
Yeah. Yeah, there's where the cable car turns around like other train and takes you all the way to Jerry Gelly Square, where they make you a rice-a-roni.
You can tell him, Shabaka. You can tell him, oh, Desiree lives over here because she has a view of Alcatraz. So Gavin says, motherfucker looking for me, they're gonna be looking me around and see what after Alcatraz. What the fuck, man?
Sister, you're clear across town from it. I wouldn't do that to you, sister.
Does anybody need that now? Hey!
She's just in San Francisco. That's all. That's it. That's all.
Boys Town.
Illegally occupied. Because you know them motherfuckers ain't supposed to be here in the first place.
Right. So moving along, we got
on Alcatraz.
Alcatraz been shut
in the motherfucking city, the state, nigga.
No, they shut down Alcatraz, Desiree, in 1962.
Yeah, it's been shut down.
I'm talking about
the last inmate. The last, no, Desiree, the last person. No, the last person to leave Alcatraz was the Birdman of Alcatraz. After he done his time, he was done.
Of self-determination, of how they turned around and took this land from our ancestors, and they are illegally occupied here.
Yep, they're the original legal immigrants. That is true.
That's right.
Well, that's undisputed truth. Now, Mac 85, we try to have fun here too, man. But we are stating facts, Mac 285. Mac 285 says this is hilarious. Hey, Mac 285, help us market this shit, man. We all can get paid.
All right, y'all. So now the Democrats is trying to pull at our heartstrings. The dump, then deported this illegal. Back to El Salvador, and now they're singing the violin. They got the violin out for.
Oh my God!
Deported. The truth about the Maryland father who was sent to El Salvador.
Does he have any anchor babies?
Well, this is the thing right here. They have to bring him back. The government turn around. He's actually supposed to come back from there at 9 a.m. today. I don't know exactly how that went, but yeah, they have to bring him back because he was actually legal, and they didn't have any paperwork on him saying he was with the gang of MS-13. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yep.
Then he's got a lawsuit, a big one.
Yeah. Not only look, they have to and they signed the paperwork off saying that they have to bring him back here to the States.
Oh, okay. Because last I heard, they said they couldn't bring him back.
Look at it again.
All right. Well, then that sounds like the kangaroo courts of the U.S. Supreme Court got to deal with it. But the cold part about it is that the kangaroo court of the United States Supreme Court, they choose the cases that they look at. You see what I mean? Just like the brother who's the brother that got executed, Brother Che, because they refused to look at this case, and there was a whole lot of evidence that this man was innocent. Just like what the state of California did in 1958 when they executed a woman by the name of Barbara Graham.
Shabaka, his name was Marcellus Williams, and that was in Missouri.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Williams. You say he did not get any justice. Now, if evidence uncovers that, in fact, that man was innocent, then the governor of that state should be charged with murder in the first degree.
Yeah, punk ass Parsons.
Mm-hmm. And they need to execute his ass.
Well, I don't know about anybody getting executed, but we need to find out that case right now about whatever, because they had to bring him back here at 9 a.m. And they said they had a court order saying he had to come back.
So he's got to go to court.
No, it's a court order. Okay, so let's go through on what the chain of command alone is for the United States capitalist government we live in. What's the chain of command?
The president.
And who got the most money?
Vice president, the executive branch, then the legislative branch,
and then the judicial branch, which is the kangaroo court of the United States.
All right, so what else do we have? What's over top of all of them all together?
The Rothschilds.
Wait a minute, hold up. Don't start getting all difficult and stuff. We don't need that shit. Get to the real of the real.
Okay, the Kennedys.
No. Here you go again. No. We're gonna go what? You forgot
okay,
about
the Kennedys,
the House of Representatives.
What, you forgot about the Supreme Court?
No, we said the Supreme Court.
Yeah, the kangaroo court. Yeah, the major kangaroo court.
It's not a kangaroo court or whatever. The kangaroo court is courts that brothers and sisters have against themselves because they so focus on acting as if they are the oppressor and actually being the king and queen that they are. So they turn around, they call they courts kangaroo courts or however, whatever, when they turn around and they doing the same thing that their oppressors doing. All right. So, but wait a minute. Who's over top of all them jokers?
Besides the Rothschilds?
Right.
Hell no, the IRS. The IRS.
The IRS ain't even a
government.
Wait a
minute. Whoa,
wait a minute. Hold up.
No, kid, you got something there about the IRS.
The
IRS.
Okay. You can be Al Capone out this joker. Let alone
Al Capone is dead.
Look.
Yeah, they got him.
With the IRS.
IRS got him.
Yeah, they got Capone. Yeah, you're right. Desiree. They got him. Yeah, they got his ass on tax evasion. You're right.
All right, so Desiree gave us the latest update, but let's see what they was talking about prior to that.
All right.
Gang member, to which he himself never denied when he had the opportunity in court to deny it years ago, back in 2019. He didn't deny it or fight against that claim, right? So you have this MS-13 gang member here who was deported on the grounds of being an MS-13 gang member, but technically he had a protection from removal order on him. But we're going to unpack all of this, right?
Okay, he bribed to the body. Okay.
Of what happened, what's going on.
You spread some dope around. Okay, I ain't mad at the truth
behind why, yes, he indeed needed to be deported outside of the just plain and simple obvious fact that
it's bullshit.
Bullshit. So I mean, outside of that, I don't even understand what we're talking about. But these things do need to be unpacked, right? So let's get into this here. I want to highlight, was it here in the article? No. This is what I want to do. What I want to do first is that I want to play this video of Caroline Levitt just responding to the entire argument and the confusion, you can say, behind this man being deported despite having a protection order on him, right? And this is still given the fact that he's an MS-13 gang member and illegal. Let's get into what she had to say. So I'm going to pull this
alleged
pull the video up. So give me just a second while I do that. And while I'm doing that, please make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are indeed new to the channel.
The error that you are referring to was a clerical error. It was an administrative error. The administration maintains the position that this individual who was deported to El Salvador and will not be returning to our country was a member of the brutal and vicious MS-13 gang. That is fact number one. Fact number two, we also have credible intelligence proving that this individual was involved in human trafficking. And fact number three, this individual was a member, actually a leader of the brutal MS-13 gang, which this president has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Fact number four is that foreign terrorists do not have legal protections in the United States of America anymore. And it is within the president's executive authority and power to deport these heinous individuals from American communities. It is a promise he campaigned on. It is a promise he is keeping. And every single person in this room should be grateful for that, considering especially MS-13 is very prevalent and prominent here in the District of Columbia, in Maryland, and in Virginia. And the president, the attorney general, everyone who has been involved in these operations is focused on eradicating these criminals and terrorists from our communities.
I think
Now,
one of the reasons why
I want
like
to move over
look
to this
at
article
woman
next,
is
right?
because she's
So let me pull this up for
the
you right
money.
now.
You know
Because
what I'm
once
saying?
again,
That's
at
what
the
we
end of the
get
day,
turned
this guy
on
was an
with.
MS-13 gang member.
With
It's
Lynch
always
or
been
whatever.
understood that he is an MS-13
You know,
gang member,
even
henceforth
go
why he was
into
deported. And this
Jack
is something that
Johnson,
he himself
Rock,
has never denied,
you know what I mean?
nor does his wife or his
Because she sits
attorney
there and
directly
says whatever.
deny. They never directly state that he is not an MS-13 gang member. They never do.
Who
They
fucking
only state
cares?
that he is not
The
a criminal.
motherfucker
Being
is
highly technical, he's
legal.
not a criminal, but they won't state that he is not an MS-13 gang member and has never been an MS-13 gang member. They won't do it. What you will see is narration behind, or I should say narration of the story, right, by these DNC news outlets like CBS, where they themselves will make the assumption that he's not an MS-13 gang member. They themselves, right, the narrators of this story will speak on behalf of the wife and say that he's not an MS-13 gang member, right? But the actual people directly involved concerning the man himself, the wife, and the attorney never directly make that statement.
Shabaki, you got nothing to
As
say?
far as I'm
Do you really
concerned,
care?
if you're not going to directly,
Okay, no, I'm waiting
Do you
for
really
him to
care?
that
finish.
tells me
Desiree, I'm
you
waiting
are
for him to
exactly
finish talking, then I'm gonna
who
comment.
the Trump administration
Oh,
says that
please.
you are,
Get the
because
fuck
you
out.
won't
This
deny
is
it.
bullshit.
I'm going to leave the link to this particular article in the description,
Bullshit. You
in the
know
live
this is
chat right
bullshit.
now. But I will also make sure to leave all links that I show for today's video in the description box below after the stream is over, because I want you guys to go over the stuff for yourself and see that I'm not making any of this up. There is a video that goes along with this article here. I'm not going to play the video because if I remember correctly, it said something funny about the CBS News Plus. I'm assuming that it's connected to a subscription, you know, that you have to watch this, even though this is a snippet of it here. You know, I don't want to have any issues on YouTube. I just want to really highlight the point that I was making in terms of the refusal to deny the fact that he's an MS-13 gang member, right? But if you don't believe me, once again, I just left the article link in the description box below and in the live chat. So please read this article for yourself and watch the video that's pinned at the top of the article for yourself. And they never denied this. But the CBS news outlet will state this. Jennifer strongly refuted the White House's accusations, saying she would know if her husband was a gang member. Court documents indict Abrigo Garcia, has traffic violations, but no criminal charges or convictions in the U.S. Once again, that's what CBS stated. And I want you to see the game that they play. Jennifer strongly refuted
they
the
on
White House
puppet stream.
A whole
she would
freaking
know if
game
her
altogether.
husband was a gang
So
member.
they can
And
sit
then
around
they directly
here.
go into
They
direct
can
quotes
say
from
or
the interview.
whatever,
You
how
think she's gonna say
whatever.
that?
Maybe
No.
we should
What
group
she says
together.
is
You know
he's
what I'm
not
saying?
a criminal.
I don't even
Jennifer
know.
said,
You know what
my
I'm saying?
husband is
But
an amazing
it's
person,
okay.
an
Like if we
amazing
sitting
father.
outside,
But what you
you
don't see in
know, just at a
quotations
store or
is
something, they
her
come over
husband,
there and put their
the father
laws
of the
and stuff. And
child,
we should
is
supposed to
not an
give a
MS-13
fuck.
gang member.
Who fucking
That's
cares?
what the author of this article stated.
Regardless of
That's
whether
what
they
the narrators overall of
are
the
they
story
fucking with the black community?
they
Now,
themselves
if they fucking with
never
the black
directly
community with
refute
the
that.
MS-13,
They never
now
do.
we have a right
They never
to
do.
fuck their
And
ass
once
up.
again, as far as I'm concerned, if you're not going to directly refute it, then you
But
are who they
who
say you are.
fucking cares?
'Cause
Every
you're choosing
time you
not to
turn
defend
around, the
yourself
white
in that
man
regard.
wants his war
And this is
to
all
be your
also despite
war.
the fact that, realistically
When are
speaking,
we gonna stop
it's
allowing
irrelevant.
their war to
Because
be our
ultimately,
war?
you're still
Okay, well,
an
just
illegal
hold
immigrant,
on one
right?
second. Let the man finish
So it shouldn't
talking.
even really take all this
Fuck
at the
that
end
shit.
of the
Fuck
day.
this is
What I
fucking
want to do right now
bullshit.
is that I
Altogether.
want to get into this next
And
video
they
here
worried about
from one of my
MSG.
favorite people,
Why don't
Stephen
you
Miller.
worry about how the United
Well,
States
Stephen Miller is one of my
government
favorite people
put together
out of this
the bomb
administration.
that
And
happened
I
on our
want to
people?
play a little bit of what he had to say also. So let me drag this down so I can pull the video up. Give me a moment while I do that. And also, as usual, just do
lives as much positive press
I know
as this MS-13 gang member has received. We couldn't get headlines like that if our lives depended on it.
Yeah.
So let's just go over the facts here. He is an illegal alien. Fact one, what do you do with illegal aliens? You deport them. Fact two, he's an MS-13.
So when are you
What do you do
crackers
with illegal
leaving?
aliens who are also in a transnational terrorist organization? You deport them more quickly. Oh, and on top of that, he's implicated in human trafficking. Deport, deport, deport.
Like you
This is who they're
crackers
going to
ain't never
bat
did
for.
that
What are we
before.
supposed to do? Buy the
Talk
guy a
about the
house, get him
pot
some free
calling the
health care,
kettle black.
maybe let him run for Congress?
Yeah.
That's exactly what they would want. Buy this guy a house, get him some free health care, and let him run for Congress. I mean, that's pretty much what they do in cities like Chicago. That's what Brandon Johnson, the operation he's running over there. I want to hear that again.
In human trafficking. Deport, deport, deport. This is who they're going to bat for. What are we supposed to do? Buy the guy a house, get him some free health care, maybe let him run for Congress?
You're supposed to do all of those things.
I mean, this is who this is the Democrat Party. This is who they stand for. This is who Cory Booker stands for in 2025.
And the flip side
They stand
of your
for
party,
illegal
Trick, you full
alien
of shit.
predators that are in
That's an insult to my
transnational
intelligence.
cartels. That's
All
the
this
Democrat Party
bullshit
of
this
today.
asshole
We
is
will win this fight
regurgitating is
all day,
bullshit.
every day.
Now, I want to take a moment to go through the series of tweets right now, right? And I'm going to make sure to leave this
Oh my
link
God! Please don't make
in the
me.
live
Please
chat
don't
right
make me.
now,
Please don't make me.
but it will also be left in the description
Oh
box
my
and pinned in the
God!
comment
Do I
section
have
after
to?
this
Do I have
conversation.
to? Do I
This
have
is
to?
very important here.
Oh my God!
And this is something that everybody needs to read for themselves. And in my opinion, you all need to share with others if you're not going to share this video, right? And you can at least share these links with people, and hopefully they'll go through the information.
Man, we ain't sharing
Let me
your
pull this
shit,
up for
man.
you.
You know, we kind enough to let you come up on here. Now you want a damn
So-
mile.
Do
We
we
give
have
his
to?
ass an inch. Now he wants a fucking mile.
Mr. Baca, he's talking about the links to the videos in the article.
Native.
What we have here is essentially all of the proof and evidence that we need, which highlights why this man obviously needed to be deported and should have been deported outside of the obvious fact that he was just an illegal immigrant. This comes from Will Chamberlain. Will Chamberlain is a senior counsel at the Article 3 Project and the
Well, I know damn well you ain't talking about Will Chamberlain, the former center for the Lakers.
In the live chat right now, if I didn't already. I feel like I didn't know it yet, so I'll do that right now. Let me drop it in the live chat for you guys. Boom. Okay. Now let's get into it. Let's get into the actual facts. Literal, documented facts, right? The thread reads as
Would you say, twin, you crying?
Let's tell the story of Kilmer Armado Abrigo Garcia, the Maryland farmer,
It ain't never a dog
likely a member of MS-13, who was removed to El Salvador, and who the Atlantic and apparently the entire political left are demanding be returned to the United States. Let's get into this. This is just very interesting when you actually go through the facts. And I want you to notice too, Every statement that this man makes is highlighted with official documentation to back up what he's saying as being fact. Okay, that's why this particular
Okay,
thread,
that means they got their lies straight. Okay,
thread, however you say
they
it,
got
is
their
so
lies
important.
straight.
First, his detention. He was detained in March 2019 and charged with removability. Abrigo Garcia is a native and citizen of El Salvador. He crossed the border illegally in 2012 and was thus removable, totally independently of whether he was an MS-13.
Blah, blah, blah.
So once again, what's
blah,
just being
blah.
established here is that off top in 2012, you crossed the border illegally, regardless of if you were an MS-13 gang member or not.
Blah,
You're removable.
blah, blah,
You should have been
blah,
deported.
That was under
The finding
Sambo administration
that he was a member of MS-13 only came up because he asked for bond.
Well, I'm trying to
The
figure
immigration
out,
judge
is it that
reviewed the evidence
the brothers and
and
sisters
found
that
that it showed
that
he
somebody
is a
else,
verified
somebody
MS-13
else's ass
gang
beside
member,
ours.
and therefore that Abrigo Garcia did not demonstrate that his release from custody would not pose a danger to others. Okay, so when he got caught in 2019 and asked for bond, that's what triggered an investigation into him, to which it was determined back in 2019 that he was indeed an MS-13 gang member, right? Let's carry on. The immigration judge also found that Abrigo Garcia was a flight risk, noting his history of failing to appear for proceedings pertaining to his traffic violations. Thus, on two independent grounds, the judge denied his bond. Once again, he crossed the border illegally in 2012, got caught in 2019. When he asked for bond, an investigation was done into him, and it was determined he was an MS-13 gang member. Outside of that,
He
they
made
also
you an
noticed
offer you could
that
not
when it
refuse.
came to
He
traffic
had that
violation,
thing
and it was time to go to
now.
court, this man skipped out on court every single time. What does that mean? It triggers the fact and the reality that if you let this guy go now, he's going to make a run for it, and he's never coming back to his court date. Okay, let's carry on. And once again, I have to continue to reiterate, with every statement that's made, the documented evidence.
Cisco came out blasting, drinking
Abrigo
Kool-Aid.
Garcia appealed to the bond of immigration appeals, which affirmed the immigration judge's findings on dangerousness, and thus dismissed.
Exactly, Twin Pyramid. He went up there and bribed some of them crooked bastards, man.
Fast forward 6 months with a new tactic. Instead of challenging the finding of removability, Abrigo Garcia filed a new claim. I want to read that one more time. Fast forward 6 months with a new tactic. Instead of challenging the finding of removability, Abrigo Garcia filed a new claim
for asylum.
What is he saying?
That's like they did with Gooseby.
He didn't challenge
you know
the fact that they found out that he was an MS-13 gang member.
And she still had
credible evidence to back that up.
When they came met on them boats, she
He
still
didn't
had
deny
them
any of it.
people up
He
there with
just
them
tried a
guns,
new
did she?
tactic. He could have argued against it.
Yeah.
He could have challenged it.
So he went underground, whatever. They found
Speaks
whatever.
volumes. So now, what's the new
Doesn't say
tactic,
nothing
right?
about his wife.
Abrigo Garcia filed a new claim for number 1, asylum, number 2, withholding of removal to El Salvador, and 3, protection under Article 3 of the Convention Against Torture. We have to remember the situation Abrigo Garcia is in. He is facing imminent removal given the ruling of the first immigration judge. He has 2 brothers who have green cards. His fiance is a citizen, and he has just given birth to his child. He clearly wants to stay.
He had an anchor baby.
And so at this hearing, applying for asylum, he testifies that he fears returning to El Salvador because the 18th Street gang was targeting him and threatening him with death.
Wait a minute. He said 18th Street was targeting him?
That the gang was extorting his mother, Cecilia, that they threatened to kill him. Of course, they never reported to the police. Still, he fears for his life 8 years later. He testified, even though the family had closed down the pupusa business.
Even the bed.
Despite the convenience of Rodrigo Garcia's claim now being made 8 years after the fact, while facing
emotional. Look at what you're doing right now.
I'm going to keep pausing to bring it
all this stuff is emotional.
He's applying for asylum in 2019.
Goddamn, they can hold him in El Salvador
and having a deportation removal order on him.
He said he feared for his
You've
life.
been here since 2012.
Would you say, Mac, you 85, you left your heart in San Francisco?
6 years, something like that. You've had 6 years to apply for asylum. If this was true, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you apply for asylum with your life being in danger back in 2012?
Little cable car.
Why did you wait all
halfway to the start?
And it was determined that you're an MS-13 gang member and that you skip out on court anytime you have a court date. Those two factors alone made it that you were removed.
Yeah, the rice-a-roni is good, twin. It's right down there by Fisherman's Wharf.
Yeah, whatever. Get you in a
now Deli Square.
In danger because of your mom's pupusa business that's been closed down for however long it's been closed down. You see how fake and fraudulent this all is? It's so obvious. It's all so obviously fake and fraudulent.
This is why they are called crooks.
Despite the convenience of
Croccett
claim.
He
now
is
being
a crook.
8 years after the fact.
The chief executive of the United States of America is a damn 35-count convicted felon.
Corroborating evidence beyond affidavits from his family, the new immigration judge found Rodrigo Garcia's account credible.
Okay, so which means he got bought off.
After the fact, after the fact, right?
It's American
but
tradition.
This immigration judge, for whatever reason,
judicial system
found his
story. He had bribe money,
essentially without any real evidence.
No, it's not even about that. You know, it's about the fact that.
But remind you, he had 8 years to do this
one way
and never did it until it was found that he was an MS-13 gang member.
Yeah. Well, so whether they in a gang or anything
even
else,
after this finding, the new immigration judge could not grant Rodrigo Garcia's asylum claim.
And then we
that
get
was
obviously
time barred.
And Twin Pyramid and
Rodrigo Garcia
and Brother Perry. One of the most notorious gangs in the United States.
The police
Rodrigo Garcia was granted a withholding of removal permit.
The most notorious
gang.
The red,
Exactly, Exactly, Jay.
Red,
the most notorious gangs.
Red, black, and green. Red, black, and green.
Oh,
you get red, black, and green.
No, Desiree, you missed my point.
Well, whatever.
RBG tried to do
voice, let alone, I ain't trying to hear this coon over there sitting over there talking about some El Salvador like I give a shit. Let me tell you some shit. And I bet they turn around and get weapons or whatever. So how they do, even when they turn around in our country and do everything else. Fuck them.
Yeah, I feel you, man. The RBG, yes, sir.
What does that do with what we have to do for our families? What does it have to do with what we have to do for our communities? That's what we need to be talking about.
It's showing the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party. That's all.
Yeah, you already know it's hypocrisy because there was never no such government as a democracy. Never.
No, constitutional republic.
Oh, whatever.
You're right.
It was never. And then on top of that, the only thing that governs here is capitalism. That is it. It doesn't even matter if you take all your clothes off and turn into a boy or a girl or a boy or whatever you want to do. If you gonna bring some money to the table, I don't even fucking care.
Oh my God.
You can change your whole sex life all you want to, just to be something else in order to be a man or woman or bring some money.
Next thing you know, it'll be against the law for men to like women.
Yep.
California will be the first state to introduce some bullshit like that.
Exactly, Max 285, the police. That's the biggest gang in the country.
That is the biggest gangs, yes, sir.
Oh, please.
And notice of how all these police departments, all the way. Okay, hold on, Desiree. Hold on. We know you got a lot to say, sister. But these gangs called the policy enforcers, okay, they hook up state to state. They hook up city to city. So what's the difference between them and what this brother's talking about in regard to 18th Street and MS-13? Look at the movie called Colors.
The IRS is bigger than the police.
Well, the IRS, sister, the IRS is nothing but the internal rip-off service.
It doesn't matter. That's a gang. That's a gang.
You're right.
You're right. You owe them motherfuckers some money. Owe them some money. They come in your
and they be mobbing on your door.
Hey, look, kick that motherfucking door in. Say, I want this, and that. And I want it right now. And then they go, pull it out. You ain't got to say shit. You ain't got to sign shit. They ain't got to show you nothing. All they got to do is say, I'm the IRS. That's it.
But if they owe you money, then
they want to do whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing when it comes to taxes and everything else.
Yeah.
And everybody sits around here and think that's a joke. Because regardless of every battle that we have been through, neo-colonialism we have been through, we have been under a dictatorship. Mm-hmm. Within a dictatorship. Yep. And another dictatorship.
Yep.
And we're not even looking at all.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
So
you're absolutely right.
Even with dealing with that, under dictatorship, there is when they talk about Trump doing tariffs, that's the same thing the IRS does to you.
Yep.
As an employee.
You're right.
No,
you're right. It's called extortion, sister. It's called extortion.
I don't know about anything calling whatever. This is the point right here. If we do not, as a people, fight for the right of self-determination, fight for the right for us to govern ourselves, to have our own government, we have lost again. We're sitting over here listening to these battles, talking about what everybody else is saying that what they're doing. What are we doing as a people for ourselves?
Well, you got to understand, like the last poet says, niggas are scared of revolution.
Well, I'm not even talking about that, because if you don't know who the niggas are, you'd have lost again. Because you are not a nigga just based on the melanin of your skin. That doesn't make you a nigga. They give you the definition of a nigga in a dictionary. And you still don't utilize that to your own benefit or anything else. You still turn around and you think it's okay to address each other in that manner. Because you don't know that verbiage on how do you speak to other brothers and sisters does not pay weight when it goes to anything. Right?
Well, okay, hold on, sister. Hold on, sister. Now you are spitting some hard, cold facts. Now, I remember August 20th, 1972, where I saw a hypocrite with a big natural wearing an RBG dashiki talking about, I am somebody. Now, what does this fool talk about 50 years later? He might as well get up there with bobblehead Al Sharpton and wave his rainbow flag. You know what I mean?
Well, give me the person you're talking about in general.
Oh,
for you to sit over there and talk about who
Jesse.
Jesse. Yeah. So as time goes on, because people don't want to see the light at the end of the tunnel, because they forget who they are. Maybe because now, instead of
that's why we created the hashtag resurrection of the mental dead.
Instead of you eating them croakers, now you sitting eating caviar.
Yeah.
Right? And say, hold up, wait a minute. All I gotta do is turn around here and leave these, what you call them? Niggas over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go over here and I can have me some caviar and fuck everybody in town.
Mm-hmm.
Have babies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do whatever. Make myself look like a black man, like I'm nothing, like society want me to be.
Mm-hmm.
For what? They done sold their soul to the devil.
Yep.
Until you turn around.
Yeah.
You are not gonna have your own free will to be able to think for yourself. Don't worry about it. Look at it as what you need to learn for yourself. Don't talk about them. Just don't be like them.
Right. All right, y'all. I got like 10 more minutes left of this video.
All right.
Right to stay in the United States. Only a legal right to not be removed to one specific country. Any third country would be sufficient. He never had legal grounds to stay here. He was always deportable. They just couldn't technically deport him to El Salvador, but he was always deportable. So that's the issue. The United States did indeed make an administrative error. They removed him to El Salvador when there was a withholding of removal to El Salvador. And that's the administrative error. But that begs the question, could the administration terminate his withholding of removal? So once again, the administrative error being, I guess they should have sent him anywhere else but El Salvador. I don't know, the Sudan. I remember they were talking about that on Fox News. They could have sent him to the Sudan or maybe anywhere else in, anywhere else in Latin America, but not El Salvador. Technically, they weren't supposed to send him there, but he was still deportable. He had no legal right or legal standing to remain in the United States. And that's the facts that has to be remembered here. The answer to that question is almost certainly yes. Let me start off with this again, since I started talking, kind of threw off that tweet. So we'll start here. So that's the issue. The United States did indeed make an administrative error. They removed him to El Salvador when there was a withholding of removal to El Salvador. But that begs the question, could the administration terminate this withholding or removal? The answer to that question is almost certainly yes. If there is a fundamental change in circumstances, I quote, if there is a fundamental change in circumstances, that means Abrigo Garcia's life or freedom would no longer be threatened in El Salvador, his withholding of removal could be terminated. Remember that Abrigo Garcia's withholding of removal in 2019 was based on his fears that the 18th Street Gang would persecute him if he returned to El Salvador. Well, thankfully, Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, has crushed the 18th Street Gang. It is now safe for Abrigo Garcia to return, because that gang that he was running from, that gang that he was claiming asylum to escape from, are not existent in El Salvador anymore. Bukele, the president, destroyed them. So guess what? You can go home now. And that's where he is. He's at home. Again, Abrigo Garcia has no legal status in the United States. He just had a temporary right to not be removed to El Salvador. He should have had an interview on this subject and not deported until it was granted. Nonetheless, the end result would have been the same. A number of left-wing commentators have been getting basic things wrong here. Tim ODC calls Abrigo Garcia a legal resident. Wrong. Abrigo Garcia's asylum claim was denied. He was a removable alien. Podcaster John Faves and Grok apparently believe there is no evidence that Abrigo Garcia is a member of MS-13. Wrong. Both the original immigration judge and Board of Immigration Appeals found there was sufficient evidence of such to render him a danger to the public. This is from David J. Beer. Is incredibly misleading. This from David J. Beer is incredibly misleading. Abrigo Garcia had a legal right not to be deported to El Salvador out of a 2019 era fear that he would be persecuted by the 18th Street Gang. Bukele, as discussed, crushed that gang. And as we round this thing out, one final point. Let's be real about this. Abrigo Garcia and his family were likely lying about the threats to his safety. He only came up with the story about his mom's pupusa after he had been denied bail. This guy crossed the border illegally in 2012 by his own admission. He never gained legal status. He was finally detained in 2019 and found removable. He came up with a sob story to delay his deportation. Even if he were telling the truth, he would have had his withholding of removal removed as early as 2022 once Bukele had crushed the 18th Street Gang. He has no right to be in this country. He crossed the border illegally, and he has been residing in the country illegally for almost 12 years, totally independent of whether or not he is a member of MS-13. He needed to go home. So once again, whether or not he was a member of MS-13 at this point is irrelevant. Because at the end of the day, he was still deemed removable, just not technically removable to El Salvador at the time, because the 18th Street Gang was running rampant, but they don't exist anymore. So now you can be deported back to your homeland where you came from. And remember, as we close this thing out, this is all based on a story that if it were true, why didn't you talk about this in 2012? Why didn't you apply for asylum when you first got here back then in 2012? Why did you wait to come up with this sob story in 2019, right? 8 years later. Why'd you take so long?
Right.
Because it's not true. You're lying. You're making stuff up. It's only now that once you found yourself in this position in 2019 that he was going to be deported, all of a sudden he's seeking asylum. All of a sudden he's running from the 18th Street Gang. All of a sudden it's because of his mom's pupusa business that was already closed down, right? This is all fake. It's all fraudulent. It's all nonsense, right? This guy deserved to be deported and it was supposed to be deported. And, you know, here we are with the facts of the matter and the reality that he should have never been here to begin with. And the fact that he was deported is essentially, as the saying goes with the Trump administration, promises made, promises kept. Okay, this is promises made, promises kept. Case closed. There isn't anything to talk about here, nothing to discuss, you know? And with all that being said.
All right, Sister Desiree, what was it that you wanted me to share?
All right, did you see it over there, this other one?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So one of the things that I'm doing, and I'm gonna talk to I found out there's 171 Black-owned bookstores, and so I'm gonna reach out to every last one of them. And if you guys want to do the same thing too, you know, just to donate books or whatever for the children, that'll be good. But yeah, going on June 16th. I want to get a big screen out there that we can show Black history at least for 6 hours, just dealing with everything that goes on with our ancestors and everything else. We're going to be at the park as well as going to Ocean Breeze Park. Yeah, so it's going to be nice. Yeah. Donate, sponsor. Huh?
That's Juneteenth weekend.
Well, hey, so be it. You know what I mean? You know, Black history is 365 days of the year.
Yes, ma'am. And 366
and
on the
it
week.
started with the beginning of time and it will end at the end of time.
That's right. So it really doesn't matter, you know. And even with this, even with Black August that Ramsey was doing, and that's another flyer that I can put up there as well, is that you have to understand that this is something that is our way of life, where we're going with this. So whether brothers and sisters doing something here, there, everywhere, we should be there.
Right.
Right? At all times. We can't be at this event, you can be at another event. Brothers and sisters doing stuff all over the globe, everywhere. Look at it. They are.
Yep.
They are.
All right, so I actually skipped 2 topics. I was gonna go in on Jasmine Croccett shit.
Oh yeah. And we are live on Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced on the like page. We got 10 views off of it so far.
Okay, yeah, I shared it on the Shabaka's Experience Enhanced like page, my personal YouTube page, at Frontline Black News.
Okay. All right. Hey, audience, we need money to keep this platform up. Give what you can, $1, $2, $1 million. We got 15 years invested in this.
Right, Mac 285 said he'll donate when he gets paid.
All right, Mac 285, appreciate you, bro. And doing anything, man, that you want us to put out there for you, man. Any cause, business ventures that you have or what have you, man, we'll be happy to put it out there. You agree with me, Brother Jay?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so going to Jasmine Croccett shit. So Jasmine apparently is a fake lawyer. She lied. And
oh yeah.
Botham Jean's attorney, which is clearly a lie.
Okay, re-enlighten me on Botham Jean, on Botham Jean, I believe.
Botham John, he was the brother that was killed in his apartment when Amber punk ass Geiger ran into his apartment.
Oh yeah.
Ice cream.
No, right.
Down in Dallas.
Got you. And maybe that broad Amber Geiger goes straight to hell.
Yeah, I think she's getting out, Shabaka.
Miscarriage of justice.
Yeah, I think she's getting out soon because they only sentenced her to like 4 or 5 years.
Well, I'm going to.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Sister Desiree.
All right, thank you so much. Yes. All right, it's been a pleasure.
All right, sister. All right, thank you for joining us.
Black power, race first, right? Black and green, always.
Yeah.
Facts.
All right, we're moving along. So TD's gonna give us an update on this one as well about Jasmine Croccett faking being Botham John's family a lawyer.
Wow.
Punk ass Bill Maher show. Oh my god.
Bill Maher. You gone, twin? Thank you for joining us, man.
Hot Wheels comment concerning Greg Abbott in Texas, the Texas governor. Ever since she made that comment, she's gone silent. We haven't seen her around too much ever since then. What was that? Maybe about a week and a half ago, something like that. Yeah, well, close to 2 weeks ago that occurred, you know. And she actually surprisingly at the time, receive a decent amount of backlash, not too much, but from her own party. We spoke on it at the time. The women of The View, I believe, what's her name again? I can't believe her name is slipping my mind. What's the woman's name on The View? It doesn't matter. But on The View, you know, they talked about how she shouldn't have done that. I believe even on CNN, if I'm not mistaken, it was Van Jones who also came out against
Man, don't mention that
no,
crybaby ass trick,
should have called him hot
Come
words and made
on,
fun
bruh.
of Greg Abbott's disability. And since then, she's gone silent. She's gone quiet. We haven't seen much of her or heard much of her since then. But there are some folks that are trying to run cover for her. Essentially, you could say to bring her back. Yeah, thank you very much, Sunny Houston. Houston. I always say her last name wrong. Sunny. That's what I appreciate that. But why? What? But why brains? I appreciate it. It was Sunny though. Some people are running cover for her to kind of, you could say, bring her back and make it not seem like such a big deal. But what I want to do right now is that I want to get into this clip here with Bill Maher and Cuomo, right? Because they discussed that comment and they discussed and outlined why she isn't being, quote, canceled by the left, right? It looks like she's been somewhat disciplined and silenced by the left, but she hasn't been canceled, right? And I'm just curious if you guys agree with their take on this, and then I'll tell you what I think after listening to this. So let's get into it.
There's a crippled character on you know, Joe the cop.
Yeah.
And they make 1,000 jokes about it.
But he's a comic.
But it just shows you that, you know, you can joke about these things without
I'm fine with it. But when you cancel one person, because it's a black woman who's doing it, they're not going to cancel her.
Totally.
Oops. Let's hear that one more time.
Okay, still with his twin. Okay.
I'm fine with it. But when you cancel one person, but because it's a black woman who's doing it, they're not going to cancel her.
Totally.
That's the problem.
You're right. She wears the magic armor.
You don't even know what the fuck
She
you're
wears a
talking
magic
about.
armor so she can do that. Yes, you're right. And both parties do that. Like when you're in our side, like if I made a fat joke about anybody in the world, how dare you from the left? If you make it about Trump or Chris Christie, it's just hysterical.
That's right.
That's what we got to get past.
I know.
That's those independent, what did you call them? Independent and
critical thinkers.
Critical thinkers.
You know, like I tell people, I don't want the lemmings. I want the lions. You know, you can have the lemmings. You got 45% of the country are happy to follow. Sheeple.
Way more than that.
No, I think they just stay on the sidelines. I think they watch what's going on and they're like, these people are fucked up. Let me just stick to my regular life. Politics doesn't affect me anyway. I'm not going to let this toxify my brain space.
Right.
So, Bill Maher said that she wears the magic armor. Is being a black woman the magic armor in the DNC? What do you guys think? You guys let me know, and I'll tell you guys what I think right now. You know, he's not lying to me. He isn't lying to me. And it's very true to me in that regards, because when you look at the current state of the Democrat Party, the black female vote is pretty much all they have left at this point. That's the final pillar that has yet to completely collapse on the DNC. I believe during the 2024 election, what did black men voted Kamala Harris? I think it was 79%, you know, that's compared to black women's 92%. So yeah, if that dips down to like 85% of black women vote Democrat next election, if that dips down, which is not going to happen, it's not going to happen, right? But in the event that it did, they're cooked. I mean, they're already cooked. Democrats are already cooked. But it's just highlighting the point that that's the final pillar. That's the last thing that's holding them up. So yeah, you know, I would agree with Bill Maher that being a black woman in the Democratic Party, you are essentially wearing the magic armor. You know, you can essentially more or less do no wrong, and there will be no actual consequences. Now, they will sit you down for a little bit, which is clearly what has happened with Jasmine Croccett. They've sat her down, but they didn't put her through the ringer. They didn't put her through the ringer. Like they're low key kind of doing a Barack Obama right now. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the DNC media outlets, they're somewhat giving Obama quite a few jabs right now, because if I'm not mistaken, recently a book was released. I forget what the title of the book is called, but it was kind of a big deal, and it discussed Barack Obama's kind of behind the scenes, I guess you could say, antics of, I don't want to say he's trying to sabotage Kamala Harris, but he didn't want her to run against Trump. He didn't want her at all. And I guess within the circles of the DNC and the elites of the DNC, it was very clear, and he made that point very clear that he didn't want her. Apparently that's all come out now in this tell-all book. And yeah, they're giving Obama a couple right now, but they're not doing that to Jasmine, and they won't, but they will temporarily silence her, which they did. Now, in the meantime, as she's somewhat silenced, temporarily, right, we have the DNC's favorite do-boy, Charlemagne the God, running cover for her, right? And you gotta love Charlemagne, because like I always say, he's one of the fakest guys that I've ever really come across, honestly. He fakes and pretends to be an independent, and it's okay, Charlemagne. If you're a vote blue no matter who, or that's fine. Just stand on it, bro. Just stand on it. But don't fake being independent. Don't fake, like you don't like both sides. I don't care for both sides. But then whenever the DNC calls, like a good do-boy, you show up and you do what you're told. And what's happening in this clip here that we're getting ready to watch is him trying to make light of the whole Hot Wheels situation by making a joke on it and making it a part of his monologue on this little Comedy Central show, right? This is very similar to what he did when he ran a cover for Kamala Harris in 2020. You all remember when Kamala Harris visited the Breakfast Club in 2020, and that whole debacle of her lying about how she used to smoke weed, listening to like Trey Songz and Snoop Dogg when she was in college, even though like she was in college in like 1985, right? Snoop Dogg wasn't around in 1985. Tupac wasn't around in 1985. So how were you smoking weed in your college dorm to Tupac and Snoop Dogg, right? You all remember that debacle. She lied and got caught in a lie, an egregious lie. And then what happened afterwards is that Charlemagne went on CNN or MSNBC, and it was him and the entire Breakfast Club, and they had to clean that up for her. They had to clean it up for her, and then they brought her back onto the Breakfast Club for a redo interview because she fumbled that one so badly back in 2020. Right. So this is essentially the same thing here. But when the DNC calls, he comes running because, like I said, he's their do boy. I don't know why he pretends like he's not. You got guys like Roland Martin. He stands on it. He's DNC, vote blue no matter who, and I respect that. I disagree with him, but I respect it. Charlemagne the God, I just can't respect this guy because he's just so fake. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's watch him run cover for Jasmine Crockett.
She did get into a little trouble for some recent comments about the Texas Governor Greg Abbott. And to appreciate this next clip, all you need to know is he's a far-right bigot who happens to use a wheelchair.
We in these.
How is Greg Abbott a bigot? Can somebody explain that to me? How? And I tell you guys all the time, and I'm going to start it over, and I'm going to play it. I promise I'll stop talking. I'll just let it run. People like Charlemagne, Jasmine Crockett, and all these other folks in the DNC, they have cheapened Black history. They have cheapened any idea of racial discrimination or anything of that nature, some sort of harassment based off skin color and race and injustice. They have thrown all that in the trash, and they have cheapened all of it because they've turned the topic of racism to the boy or woman who cried wolf, or the boy or woman who cried racism. They throw this stuff around all the time flippantly to the point to where now words like racist and bigot mean absolutely nothing. I'm sure if you asked him point blank, how is Greg Abbott a bigot? What are you talking about? You wouldn't be able to answer the question. What is Greg Abbott doing in Texas that's making him a bigot? Can't answer it, man. But anyways, that's enough of me talking. That
remind me of when I was on Jeff Fart's show. And one of the brothers on there called me a bigot, and I said, define it. And he walked off. Remember Shabaka?
Mm-hmm. Yep. pretty much.
Carry on.
You know,
this is really
and then because
She did get into a little trouble for some recent comments about the Texas Governor Greg Abbott. And to appreciate this next clip, all you need to know is he's a far-right bigot who happens to use a wheelchair.
We in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess.
Hey, man, when they go low, Jasmine slashes the tires on their wheelchairs, okay?
Anyways, that's corny Charlemagne, and that's him running cover, right? He's trying to soften the blow by making it even further joke out of it, making it a part of his monologue, and it is like a perfect picture of him. And then trying to, you know, preface it by saying, well, you know, Greg Abbott is a bigot, right? He isn't, but I mean, whatever. You know, it's the boy who cried wolf, the boy who cried racism.
Governor
you know, so that's that, and that's what you have going on with her currently in the moment. A lot of people were talking about Jasmine Croccett needing to be censured, because you also have to remember at that same time too, at the same time that the Hot Wheels comment came out, that was also the same week that she attacked that one reporter trying to snatch the phone out of his hand when he was recording her, just asking her a simple question concerning Elon Musk and Tesla, right? And she bruised his hand up and everything like that. If I remember correctly, he filed a police report. So, but that happened all in the same week. She attacked a journalist, and then on top of attacking a journalist, she was running around calling, you know, Greg Abbott Hot Wheels. Since then, they've definitely sat her down. They've sat her down for a while. So now what I want to do, though, I want to get into the meat of today's stream as we start bringing things to a close. And what I want to do now is this. So many of you are familiar with this, right? Or you're not. You're familiar with this if you watch my interview with Schulz and Daniels. But let's look at this really quick. Let me bring this down. And I'm going to pull this article up, right? So, absolutely disgusting. Family of Botham John demands congressional candidate Jasmine Croccett stop using his name, right? What is this about? Well, way back during the Botham John situation, Jasmine Croccett misrepresented herself as being the family's lawyer. They asked her multiple times to stop doing that, you know, and Jasmine wouldn't stop. She kept misrepresenting herself as being the lawyer of Botham John's family. And eventually they had to file a cease and desist letter, right? They sent a cease and desist letter. They got their lawyer, their actual lawyer, to send that out there. And then that's when she decided to stop pretending. What I want to do first, before I get into this article here, is that I want to take a moment to actually play what Schulz had to say during my interview with him when I asked him about this, and then we'll get into this article here, and I'll give you my little spiel on our way out the door of the stream. And what I want to do, because I want to respect the interview that I had with Schulz and the time that I had with him, because I did appreciate our conversation. As I'm playing the clip from our conversation, what I'm going to do right now is that I'll drop the link to his website, you know, for those of you who didn't have, and I just dropped it in the live chat, and it's also in the description box below. For those of you, you know, who want to show your support to Schulz Daniels, you know, in his efforts to defeat Jasmine Croccett, feel free, please, to donate to his campaign. The link is in the live chat and is in the description box below. And let's get into what he had to say about this situation here, and then we'll carry on. To which they had to issue out a cease and desist letter to get her to stop pretending to be their family lawyer when she wasn't. Is this something that you are aware of, and do the people of your district know about this story?
This is something that I'm aware of. Not many people in the district know about this story, because the Democrats, and you need to understand something about Dallas. The local media here, from the Dallas Morning News, the Dallas Observer, 95% of our major institutional media here in Dallas, they are staunchly blue. They are 100% Democrat, you know, and so when their darling, right, Jasmine, makes a mistake, they cover it up. You see, the story had to get broken by a journalist down in South Texas, you know, through the Texas Tribune. That should have come out in the Dallas Morning News. But there's a reason they don't want voters informed about Jasmine Croccett, right? Now, wait until Wait until they start running polls and they start seeing how much ground I'm gaining in the district, and watch how the Dallas Morning News goes and reports on anything that they can find about me. But stuff about that happened right here in Dallas that relates to a situation that is of national interest, Dallas Morning News is completely silent on that deal. And that's just an example. And so it's part of my job to educate voters and to inform voters. And I'm telling people about that. And the more people hear about that, they're just disgusted with her because it tracks. You know, as an attorney, Jasmine came into this deal. And let me tell you something about being a lawyer. Most people assume that all lawyers are successful and rich, right? But there's a lot of lawyers out there who kind of give lawyers a bad name. It's easy for a rich person like Jasmine to get a law degree, come out, buy the fancy car, already have the Gucci bags, already being able to buy all the stuff. So people in their mind, they think that she's a successful attorney. No, she's an attorney who happens to already be really rich. She's actually not that great of an attorney, based on what people have told me. I'm not personally saying that. But it just goes to show she was willing to do anything that she could to further her brand as an attorney, even if it meant lying, right? Even if it meant holding herself out and really hurting this family, a Black family, right? The people that she claims to care so much about. But she stepped right on them to further herself. And that's what she did with TX30. She stepped right on us to further herself. And people recognize that now. And so, you know, her days are numbered. And absolutely, when you're talking about character, clearly, Jasmine Croccett has no character. She made fun of a guy for being in a wheelchair, something that was not of his fault at all, right? And he still has dedicated his life to public service, way more than she's ever done. It just goes to show who she is as a person. It's disgusting.
So, I mean, like you said, he stepped on, you know, while we have this person here, you know, who's thoroughly drunk the MSNBC Joy Reid flavored Kool-Aid, he completely ignores the facts and the reality, you know, behind what we're discussing here, that Jasmine Croccett stepped on a Black family, people that she claims to care so much about, Black people. She stepped on a Black family for political gain. And she did that to her entire district of TX30. My man, while you're being here disingenuous, but I get it, the MSNBC Kool-Aid, the Joy Reid flavor MSNBC Kool-Aid, like it must taste great. It must taste great. And I guess you're drunk off of it right now. So let's get into this here, man. Let's get into this article. It's wild. People just facts and just go right over their head. They just want to believe what they want to believe. But anyways, as this article states here, absolutely disgusting. Family of Botham John demands congressional candidate Jasmine Croccett stop using his name. She was using this man's name for political gain, using this man's name for donation, using this man's name to get into the position that she was successfully able to get into, which is that of Congresswoman Croccett now. You know what I mean? She's Congresswoman Croccett off of using Botham John's name, right? And misrepresenting herself as the lawyer of the family. The family of Botham John, who was fatally shot by a Dallas police officer in his apartment, sent State Representative Jasmine Croccett a cease and desist letter. This is back in March of 2022. The family of Botham John, a Dallas man who was fatally shot by a Dallas police officer in his apartment in 2018, issued a fiery open letter to congressional candidate Jasmine Croccett demanding that she stop representing herself as their attorney for political gain. How disgusting is that? Right. How disgusting in that? And I quote, Botham's name is not an endorsement you can parade, and his legacy is not a soundbite you can use to garner media coverage. The letter from the family reads, this woman is disgusting. Right. Croccett, who represents Dallas as a state representative, is in a runoff battle with Jane Hamilton to be the Democrat successor to retiring U.S. Representative Eddie Bernice Johnson. In an open letter shared with Texas news outlets, John's family said they previously asked Croccett to stop using Botham John's name in any capacity related to her political career. They told her to stop numerous times, but those wishes had been disregarded. She could have cared less. Jasmine, she didn't care. She said, I'm gonna use this dead man's name so I can further my political career in the name of Black power. That's what she did. The letter said they have now asked their legal team to send Croccett a cease and desist letter. For you to misrepresent yourself as one of our attorneys is absolutely disgusting. The letter reads, "You do not represent my family in the interest of Botham and have never represented my family in the interest of Botham. So for you to publicly publish these lies, both written and audibly, is unacceptable and unbecoming of any civil servant and any decent human being. Clearly, this is only for political gain, and we, the family of Botham John, want no part of it." Once again, I mean, how sick of a person do you have to be? Ambition is one thing. It's one thing to be very ambitious, right? And to kind of just, walk the fine line of, doing the right things and doing the wrong things. But then it's a whole nother thing to completely exploit the demise of a man. You've completely exploited the death of another human being for your own gain. That is unbelievably disgusting. The letter released by the Vault Consulting Group was signed by the family of Botham John. Allison Jean Botham Jean's mother told the Dallas Morning News that Crockett's website incorrectly stated that she represented her family. Crockett said in a statement to the Texas Tribune, it was a mistake. How, Sway? How is that a mistake? You don't mistakenly put on your website that you are the attorney for anybody's family, let alone the family of Botham John, which was a high-profile case that occurred, and it became a national news. It swept the country up as far as this case is concerned. You don't do that on accident. That wasn't a mistake. It was very intentional because you're a disgusting human being. While nothing was directed towards our campaign regarding this issue, I do want to respond and say that as a civil rights attorney, I never intentionally inflict additional distress upon any family. There may have been confusion about some information on our website, which was remedied as quickly as it was brought to our attention, she said. Look at this. Can't get any more fake than her. Crockett is a civil rights lawyer. Yeah, whatever. We don't need a bio. We don't need her bio. Let's get into this here as we round this out. The family wrote that fighting for justice on behalf of Botham John is an undertaking that we wish no family has to endure. And I quote, having to fight overzealous police officers and now having to fight overzealous lawyers such as yourself to protect our loved one's name is absolutely traumatizing, the letter said. She traumatized Botham John's family. Traumatized it. Can I read this quote one more time in closing? This is a powerful quote. Botham John's mother stated, speaking about Jasmine Crockett, having to fight overzealous police officers and now having to fight overzealous lawyers, Jasmine Crockett, such as yourself, to protect our loved one's name is absolutely traumatizing. Disgusting. Completely disgusting. Hopefully, you got. I'm rooting for Sheldon. I definitely put a little something on the books for Sheldon. And if you support the brother and get behind, and you are with his campaign to unseat Jasmine Crockett, I would suggest you do the same. I would suggest you do the same. Like I left his website in the live chat below, so you can donate if you want to. But I just wanted to further highlight this topic here and this point here, because it's nasty. This is nasty work, man. Nasty work. You think about all of the stress. I shouldn't say think about it, because I can't imagine. I have a child, right? I have a son. Most of you know that I have a son. I have a little boy. I can't imagine the worst case scenario happening. And especially under circumstances like this, where, the life is taken by anybody. That in and of itself is stressful. But then it turns into a political circus on top of that. It turning into a political circus makes the situation even that much more stressful. now that everybody's using the situation as a political football on both sides to further their agendas, whichever side that is, whatever agenda they're trying to push forward. So now, as you're dealing with all this stress, you have somebody like a Jasmine Croccett, a sleazebag, who comes around and promotes themselves as your family's attorney so that they can push themselves further up the ladder and achieve their ultimate goal of becoming a congresswoman, which she did. She did that off the back of a dead man. And she did that off the back of a Black family, which she's supposed to care about, right? She's pro-Black too, I guess, right? They all say they're pro-Black. She did that off the back of a Black family and the back of a dead Black man.
That's right.
She could care less. She's out for herself and herself alone. And this just needed to be talked about, needed to be told. I needed to elaborate on this more. I'm going to leave the link to this article here because you guys should read it for yourself, but also share it with others, man. Share it with others and get the word out concerning how disgusting this woman is. So I'll leave that here. And with all that being said, that's going to do it for today's stream, man.
That reminds me of my nemesis. He tried to use Elijah McClain's death to try to springboard his campaign for mayor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's sad. You know what I'm saying? That's real sad.
It has been proven to be a fake, a fraud, and phony. She lied, said that she was Bolton John's attorney, which she clearly wasn't. And it just got exposed.
Right.
So
pretty much, yep. Pretty much. Well, it just goes, and like I said, Brother Che, this is why I stayed out here publicly, that if I'm able to, you're the only person running for political office I will vote for.
Thank you, Shabaka. So we're not talking about the Croccett shit. She tried to go in on Byron Donalds. She said something to the extent of, what does he know about Black issues? He's married to a white woman or something, right? Kind of find out Croccett is married to a white man. But Byron Donalds clapped back on her, so we're going to play that next.
Okay, Brother Che, how many more topics do you have?
I'm doing this 1,000,000% out of spite, just because, it makes you ninjas mad. I know how much y'all love Jasmine Croccett, and whenever I do a Jasmine Croccett video or Jasmine Croccett stream, that's when I get the most pushback. Y'all be so mad when I talk about Jasmine Croccett, and I don't get it. I don't know. It is mainly from you ninjas too. When I say you ninjas, particularly right now, let me be clear. I'm speaking about Black men. I don't know why y'all be simping so hard, man. What's wrong with you ninjas? Why do y'all simp the way that you do? How come I just can't speak my speech and tell the truth about Jasmine Croccett? Why do you guys always come to the defense of bad behavior? I don't understand it. It's crazy to me. Now I know when I started this channel, a lot of you guys thought that it was just going to be
got to have cohesiveness. Then address that.
There is no cohesiveness, Shabaka. So there's no cohesiveness there. This broad, she's not Black first. She's Democrat first. So there's no cohesiveness there. So them coming at him for telling the truth about her, it's just stupid.
Okay, but what I'm saying though, I'm mainly speaking of Jasmine Croccett as well too. Why isn't she?
She's not Black first, Shabaka.
She's
not B1. It's all an act, political theater, putting on an act.
Okay. In other words, brother, that's a common term they got for it called bullshit, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Oh no, you didn't think that it was going to turn around on you, did you? But it did. It sure did. And I'm having a good time popping bubbles and making people upset about my Jasmine Crockett take, right? So now I want to get into it. We all know, the whole thing about Jasmine Crockett talking about Byron Donald's white wife. Apparently he's whitewashed, and he has a whitewashed view of American history because his wife is white, right? A completely retarded talking point, and a completely retarded take, but that's what she said. Well, Byron Donalds finally responded. And, I'm a little late to the party, playing this. People have already gone through it already. But like I said, the main reason that I'm doing this now is literally just out of spite. I just want to make you mad. You know how Dan Calloway always says, I'm just here to make you think. Well, I'm just here to piss you off. I'm just here to make you mad. So let's get into it, man. Let's jump into this right now. I want to hear what Byron Donalds had to say, because I actually haven't listened to this. I just know he responded, but I don't know what he said. I kind of skimmed through this a little bit. When the host talks, this guy right here is going to be kind of loud. When Byron Donalds speaks, it's going to be kind of relatively low. So you might want to, really tune in. If you're in a loud place, my bad, But let's get into this right now. Let's jump into this video here.
It's a clapback you've got to see. You probably heard what Jasmine Crockett said about Byron Donalds on that guy Lenny's radio show. She sat there and called out his wife because of her race and then went on this rant. Now, I interviewed Byron Donalds a little while ago. You've got to see his reaction. Do not stop watching this. It's going to blow your mind.
And if we continue
Man,
to
I'm
put
only looking at your
into
book
office,
one time,
and that
motherfucker.
even
Start
means
sharing
some
our
of our skin folk who definitely are not our kinfolk, such as Byron Donalds, who are going to continue to say that, the fact that you sitting around talking about life was better under Jim Crow, is this because you don't understand history?
She's an idiot. He never said that. He literally never said that. And I know I had to reiterate that point the first time around, and I went over it, but he literally did not say that.
Jasmine Crockett is an idiot.
Or literally, it's because you married a white woman, and so you think that whitewash you.
Damn, what's going on with my internet? My internet bogus today. What the fuck? I'll wind it back just a little bit.
It's because you married a white woman, and so you think that whitewash you.
You married a white woman, so you think that whitewashes you. Well, I had Byron Donalds on. He's running for governor of the great state of Florida, and it was just a great conversation. But he went there. You got to see this.
First and foremost, don't talk about my wife. Keep my wife out of this. Ain't got nothing to do with her. You could talk to me about policy anytime you want to. Secondarily,
he said, keep my wife name out your effing mouth. The internet is really annoying me right now. God, dog, this is messing up my whole group. We for sure gonna be out of here 10 minutes flat. I can't run. I can't keep it going like this.
You could talk to me about policy anytime you want to. Secondarily, there was a couple of times on the campaign trail last year where I know I was booked to be on stage or to be in debate with Jasmine. And all of a sudden, her schedule changed. She had a conflict, whatever the case might be. So if she wants to do this, if she wants to have that debate, I'm easy to find. You ain't got to look hard for me. I'm 6'2". You can find me. It's pretty easy. Number 3.
So my man said he want all the smoke. And I'm glad he brought that point up. I'm glad Byron brought that point up. Because a lot of y'all love to sit up here and tell me how smart and intelligent apparently Jasmine Crockett is. I'm getting hot in here. Well, my forehead shiny. Y'all love to tell me how smart and intelligent she is, which she's not, right? The reason that you guys assume that she's smart and intelligent, right, which she isn't, is because she lies and puts out this fake, you could say, imagery of herself as being, I don't know, ghetto, you can say, right? She puts the whole, the sister girl thing or whatever people like to call it, right? She puts that image out there. But if you know her background, you know that that isn't her. That's not who she is. She's actually come from a very, you could say, upper class, upbringing. She's nowhere near from the hood or anywhere at all where people would be speaking like that. So this is an act that she puts on. And because this is an act that she puts on, when she does the, you all assume that she's intelligent because she's acting like she isn't. But the reality is that you can act a certain way, hood, ghetto, whatever you want to put on it. That doesn't mean that you're smart because you're pretending. That's not what that means. Pretending to be something you're not doesn't mean that you're actually intelligent. It just means that you're a fraud and you're a phony and you're unintelligent. Because like Byron Donald said, you had multiple opportunities to be on stage with him, dialogue with him, have a conversation with him, and you chose not to. Why?
Jasmine Crockett is an idiot.
Say it again, Judge Joe Brown.
Jasmine
Man, that
Crockett is an
kangaroo
idiot.
court ass judge, man, I wouldn't carry nothing in that clown's court.
Demonstrates, frankly, the
I
racism in the
refuse
Democrat
to ass
Party.
so fucking ass to
They
make his
don't have
head
a
spin.
problem when Kamala Harris is married to a white man, or when Ketanji Brown Jackson's married to a white man, as long as they subscribe to the politics of the Democratic left. As long as you do that, everything is fine. But
see, that's the other thing too. So why is it okay for Kamala Harris to be married to a white man, but not Byron Donalds? That's what's off to me. Because Jasmine Crockett will make a dumb statement like what she said.
Well, Kamala Harris is what is she? Brother Che, of that drama class from India.
But it doesn't apply to Kamala Harris, who's not black, number one, to begin with. She's a biracial Indian woman. But we don't have to keep rehashing that point, right? That's been talked about over and over and over again. But why doesn't it apply to her? How come all of the pro-black Democrats and the pro-black Dr. Umar types were all like, yeah, you married a white woman, and like that was like the worst thing in the world for Byron Donalds to do, but y'all don't got that same smoke for Kamala Harris. I just find that interesting. That level of hypocrisy where it's okay, especially when it's all about Ketanji Brown Jackson. Oh my God, it was the biggest thing in the world. We got a black woman as a Supreme Court judge, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Oh, black woman, this guy, she's a Supreme Court judge. Her husband is white though, but it's cool. Here's a question for you guys. Why is it okay for black women, even though Kamala Harris is a biracial Indian woman, but I got it. I always have to clarify, but why is it okay for black women to marry a white man, but a black man can't marry a white woman? Why is that such an issue? I think that that's something that should be explored. We're not going to explore right now because I don't got that kind of time, but I think that that's something.
Yeah, well, man, get with me. I'll explain it to you.
But your spouse happens to be white or of another race, then all of a sudden it's a problem. This is the racism that occurs in the Democrat Party. I'm sick of it, tired of the BS. I tell any one of them who have a concern about me and what they think my views are, debate me. And if you don't want to debate me, Google me. There's plenty of information out there.
I'll debate your
I know
ass.
that I have the facts. I have the information. I can back my stuff up. All they can do is throw out
I just got 60 plus years of being on this planet.
The last thing I'll say about Ms. Crockett, and I'm going to leave it alone. Jasmine, I don't use talking points. Nobody tells me.
As a matter of fact, that boy there would have to grow some more whiskers.
I know how to deliver a message because I have facts, I have logic, I use economics. I don't get into hyperbole. So if you are concerned about some of the things that I say find a show. It could be whatever show you want to. We'll sit there and do it. We'll have a good time along the way. And you'll go ahead and
I didn't check out Frontline Black News. We'll be happy
said
to
I'll
have
mop
your
the floor
ass.
with you quick, ASAP. And I believe him. Not too many people can get up with Byron Donalds. I don't know anybody, on the quote left that can get up with Byron Donalds. Who? I mean, I can think about some other people on the right who might could go back and forth with him and give him, a good run for his money on debating, like a JD Vance or something like that. But anybody on the left, he's mopping anybody that's coming from the DNC, especially Jasmine Crockett. That's why you'll never see, and I've said this so many times before, you will never see that woman on Fox News or any other so-called right-wing show where they're getting pushback because she's not intelligent enough. She was projecting on the Byron Donalds. When she said Byron Donalds is just spitting out talking points that was given to him by massa, she was talking about herself. That was projection. Because when all you do is spit out random talking points, but you can't back those talking points up with facts, data, economics, like Byron Donalds said, when you can't do that, that's because all you have are your pre-written talking points that your DNC massa gave you. Like you were stating about Byron Donalds. You're talking about that he adheres to what massa says. No, Byron Donalds, I believe, it clearly has a mind of his own because he goes on CNN and all these other left-wing shows all the time and he mops the floor with these folks who are trained propagandists, and their whole job is to try to catch a right winger up in any type of a lie or a gotcha moment that they can. I haven't seen nobody be able to fade Byron Donalds yet on CNN or any of these other channels. Meanwhile, once again, Jasmine Crockett, nowhere in sight. She don't want no smoke. She don't want no problem. She just want to get on TV, The Breakfast Club, MSNBC, or wherever that they'll allow her onto, and talk stupid. And they'll let her say whatever dumb things that she want to say without any pushback. But you will never in a million years see her on any right-wing show. Why? Say it with me now.
Jasmine Crockett is an idiot.
And with all that being said, that does it for today's Terry Time. It was a short. Oh man, see, Papo, Naya, Shelly, and everybody, you came through too late. I'm about to dip. You came through too late, Papo, Naya, and Shelly. You know, College of Natural Health Science, BDA. This was a quick one, only 13 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Because I genuinely don't have time.
Well, see, everything else. I don't care about none of that. I ain't got time to Terry.
I ain't got no more time to Terry right now at all. I got to get up out of here. I got to leave. I probably got about 2 minutes left. But you know what I need to do, man? I got to start the Terrygram, man. I got to get the Terry Time Telegram. So like that.
All right. All right, Shabaka, what's your thoughts on Byron Donalds clapping back on Jasmine Crockett shit?
Okay, well, Byron Donalds, Jasmine Crockett, okay, if they're within earshot, we would like to debate both of you hypocrites, okay? And that's exactly what you will be referred to as. I will have notes, I will have history, plus I have the life experience, because neither one of you give a good fucking damn about the Black community. All you want to do is sit up there in hindsight, wear $500 suits, okay, wear $10,000 gowns and all that, and want to be seen. And in the meantime, the majority of our people on the verge of homelessness could barely afford groceries, getting ready to be roasted with the tariffs by the dump as in human shit. And I want to make that perfectly clear, by the way, to quote another crook. Okay, so instead of dealing with this small shit, you need to fuck around and find out what's going with us in mass. Okay, you see what I'm saying? They don't care if you're Christian. They don't care if you're a Muslim. They don't care if you're an Afrocentrist. They don't care if you're pro-Black or integration or with the Rainbow Coalition. We are merely persecuted for simply because we are Black people in America. And like when y'all refuse our invitation to debate with us, Ms. Crockett and old boy right here, what's this brother's name again, Brother Jay? Who?
Byron Donalds.
Yeah, Byron Donalds. When you avoid us, when you block us, that tells us everything. Because you cannot deal with this heat of what we're going to do. Yeah, see, what's happening with reparations? Neither one of you tricksters are addressing that. You want to be seen. You want a high sign. You see what I'm saying? Thinking that you better than the rest of the Black community, but both of you take your Black asses to the city of Los Angeles and the county of Los Angeles, by the way, and see how you will be treated. So until they do that, they can't tell me nothing.
Nothing. All right, Shabaka. Okay, so I think we already covered this one. But breaking, top MS-13 gang leader arrested. Migrant gang leader caught in Virginia.
Okay.
And safety is our primary.
was taken down and arrested, right? I want to go through this article very quickly, then go through a couple of videos, to highlight, a little bit more detail surrounding what went down earlier this morning. But this is definitely great news that we're seeing these guys actually being taken down in a way that was not occurring during the Biden administration. It's just a free-for-all, obviously. Migrant crisis, we don't have to rehash that. We all understand the migrant crisis. But as it pertains to actually focusing on taking down these top migrant gangs and these top migrant gang leaders like MS-13, and then now we have Trinidad de Aragua, thanks to Biden and Harris, just going after these people were not a priority, which is crazy when you think about it, but it just wasn't. But now it is, and we see
no, the reparations
so I want to go through their priority. And like I said, we're going to jump into a couple of videos after. U.S. authorities have captured the MS-13 top leader for the U.S. East Coast. I'll start over again. U.S. authorities have captured the MS-13 top leader for the U.S. East Coast. The FBI announced on Thursday. Officials captured the 24-year-old suspect in Woodbridge, Virginia, just south of Washington, D.C. Authorities have yet to release the suspect's name, but they say he is one of the top 3 leaders of the MS-13 gang in the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel watched the arrest unfold from a nearby Tactical Operations Center. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and senior DOJ official Emma Bove were also present. The operation included the FBI, joined by the Prince William County Police Department, ATF, ICE, and the Virginia State Police. Patel also praised law enforcement officers for conducting a safe operation. Thursday's operation is only the latest targeting top-level members of gangs and drug trafficking rings operating in the U.S. The FBI has arrested 3 individuals on its top 10 most wanted list in the past 2 months alone. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Wow. The FBI has arrested 3 individuals on its top 10 most wanted list in the past 2 months alone. These guys are moving quickly to eliminate their top 10 list so that they can create a new top 10 list and get more of these guys out of here. This is a really good thing to see and a great thing to see. Like I said, they're moving fast, they're moving quickly, and they're removing these guys just at a rate that's really kind of unprecedented at this point. Eliminating your top 10 within 6 months just to replace them with another top 10 looks like that's the trajectory that we're on with this, getting these guys up out of here. So now what I want to do next is I want to get into this clip here because this clip that I'm going to get into next is of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel in the field, right, during the time of the takedown and the arrest, and this was their immediate reaction. So I'm going to pull that video up for you guys on the screen right now.
Action is all of our law enforcement officers are safe. That was the number one thing. They're safe. They executed a clean, safe operation, and the bad guys in custody. And thanks to the FBI, we got one of the worst of MS-13 off the streets this morning.
We were able to be out here in force to show the American people, to be here in person, that this means a lot to her and the mission. Safety is our primary concern of these communities, and we effectuated that today.
So now what I want to do next is transition over to their official press conference, right? Obviously, this wasn't just the only dialogue that they had. There was an official press conference with Patel and Noam, once the bust took place, and they were able to get things situated. And I just want to play a couple of clips of what they had to say from that press conference as well. So I'm going to pull that up next on the screen. And while I'm doing so, please hit the like button if you haven't already. And for those of you watching on X, feel free to also retweet this, re-X this, repost this for those of you who are watching me on X right now. And shout out to those of you watching me on Rumble. So let me get this next video up for you guys.
That clown shit.
Right.
Been out since about 4:30 this morning. The great men and women of law enforcement have been working on this operation for days and days and probably weeks. Early this morning, one of the top leaders of MS-13 was apprehended. He was the leader for the East Coast, one of the top 3 in the entire country, right here in Virginia, living half an hour outside of Washington, D.C. He is an illegal alien from El Salvador, and he will not be living in our country much longer. He's in custody this morning. One of the top leaders right here near our nation's capital. I just cannot thank Governor Youngkin enough for his leadership in this effort. This has been a joint effort with state and local agencies. FBI Director Patel, thank you so much.
And now what I want to do next is get into FBI Director Patel, right? And then we're going to get into some other stuff afterwards, just concerning a follow-up as it regards to the Aliens Enemies Act, right? I haven't given a follow-up on that yet, but we're going to find out what's going on with that next after we get through Kash Patel and what he has to say. So let's get into this video also.
This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. We're going to continue to let good cops be cops across this country. President Trump gave us the executive decision to go after and safeguard our communities. General Bondi is our warrior of justice leading that charge. Governor Youngkin, it's an honor to be a partner in this operation with you and U.S. Attorney Seabron. This is the mandate we have. Right now, we have an American dying every 7 minutes from a drug overdose. That is a national security crisis we have not seen ever before. We have a woman or child being raped every 6.5 minutes in this country. We have a homicide twice an hour. No.
Let's listen to those statistics once again. I want to just take that from the top one more time, in case you were distracted by the smile that came on my face when I read my man Saul's super chat.
This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And we're going to continue to let good cops be cops across this country. President Trump gave us the executive decision to go after and safeguard our communities. General Bondi is our warrior of justice leading that charge. Governor Youngkin, it's an honor to be a partner in this operation with you and U.S. Attorney Seabron. This is the mandate we have. Right now, we have an American dying every 7 minutes from a drug overdose. That is a national security crisis we have not seen ever before. We have a woman or child being raped every 6.5 minutes in this country. We have a homicide twice an hour. No part of that metric is a safe and secure America. But thanks to the brave leadership of this administration and the folks that you see here, we are returning our communities to safety. As you heard, we took down this morning a top leader of MS-13. That is not done easily. That is done with brilliant law enforcement.
Really think about this, because this just kind of hitting me as I'm listening to Kash Patel speak, right? Listen, as we all heard what he was just saying, right? And then he's running down this data and statistics, concerning, all this madness that's going on in the country. Throughout the entire 4 years of the Biden administration, do you ever remember hearing any type of speech or discussion surrounding all of the madness that Kash Patel was just bringing up?
Nope.
I don't recall not one time there being any type of press conference or interview or lecture, anything of that nature at all throughout the Biden administration, where they were discussing these things and these matters with any type of pride as it pertains to putting an end to this madness, let alone even making an effort towards trying to put an end to this madness. That really says a lot about the DNC and just completely how ridiculous of a party that they've become. Because when it comes to stuff like this, they just don't even care. And they will find some way, like I saw Valerie say in the comment section, they're going to find some way to say that this is a bad thing. Just like they found a way to spin expediting the removal of Trinidad Island gang leaders by way of the Alien Enemies Act into a bad thing. All of this stuff for DNC lunatics is considered a bad thing, right? And now, as I'm bringing up the Aliens Enemies Act, what I want to do next is I want to transition to this video here of Kristi Noem, because Kristi Noem was recently, if I'm not mistaken, it was yesterday, she was in El Salvador, and she went down to that major maximum jail facility that they have. I forget what it's called. I think the The abbreviation for it is like CPAC or CPAC or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't remember what it's called. But it's this maximum jail facility that's essentially hell on earth, honestly. And she went down to visit. And I just want to play a little bit of her visit. There's not going to be too much dialogue here. It's really just kind of a montage of clips of her walking around through the facility. The volume is a little bit low, just letting you know ahead of time, because there's going to be a portion when she does speak. But to be honest with you, and not just in any disrespectful fashion, though, what she's saying isn't really important to a degree, right? We don't really need to hear what she's saying so much as I just want you to get the visual of what went down when she visited that facility in El Salvador. If you know anything about this prison here, trust me when I tell you, these guys were happy to see Kristi Noem. Okay, if you know anything about this prison in El Salvador, and these guys that are like locked up in like 200 people in one cell, like on that sleep on metal sheets, you know, seeing Kristi Noem was the highlight of their day, if not the highlight of the entire time that they've been in prison, because these guys, whew, yeah, that prison over there is something different. It's something different. It's definitely something different.
First of all, do not come to our country illegally. You will be removed and you will be prosecuted. But know that this facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use if you commit crimes against the American people.
Normally, I don't read the super chats till the very end, but I want to read Saul's super chat right now because this was something that stood out to me like a sore thumb as well when I was watching this video, right? And there's a couple of videos of her down in El Salvador going through, you know, the jail and whatnot. You know, this isn't the only one. Like I said, this is just a quick little couple clips that was put together of it. But he said, did you hear any cat calling? Just heavy breathing. Let me explain something to you guys. If this was an American jail and Kristi Noem came walking through, those guys would have been cat calling, whistling, yelling, going crazy in there.
Yep.
Because that's how soft the jails are here in America. I know people will sit and tell me like, "Oh, TD, you've never been to, you know, prison and stuff like that." And I haven't been to prison. I pride myself on never being in prison, right? But like, you don't know what it's like. It's not sweet in prison, and I get it. I'm sure it's not a good time, but it's not El Salvador, which is how it should be, because the prisons that we have here, man, I mean, just from what I've seen, it looks a little too sweet for me. It looks a little too sweet for me. I see guys, you know, doing whole podcasts like out of jail, doing TikToks in jail. You know what I mean? Guys doing whole interviews. I saw a recent video of Blueface, who was a rapper. Some of you might know him, some of you might not know him. The guy was doing like a whole podcast from like on the yard with a hat on, and he had a gold chain on, and he was just standing in the yard surrounded by a bunch of other people just walking around the yard. The video was in like 8K, and I was confused. I said to myself, well, wait a minute, isn't Blueface in jail? This is him, this is jail, this is him on the yard? How does he have a high definition camera videotaping him as he's speaking with a hat on his head and a gold chain around his neck? Like, it just didn't make sense. I'm just like, what is this? You know, what kind of jail is this? So yeah, going back to what Saul was saying, you know, there was no cat calling or anything of that nature that was happening in this prison here. Just heavy breathing. If any of them would have whistled or even blink too hard. If you blink too hard in that jail, in that prison, it's going to be a problem. Here in America, I don't know, man. It's a little too soft. A little too soft, if you ask me. I'm just saying, a little too soft. But now what I want to do is not to get completely thrown off track. You see, this is why I don't read super chats during the stream. So, you know, I wait till after the stream so I don't get too thrown off. I want to take a moment to transition as we're kind of bringing things to a close to the Aliens Enemies Act, right? And let's get caught up with that. So we all know that the district judge, Boasberg, I believe his name is, the Obama-appointed judge in D.C., he blocked it, right? He blocked the Aliens Enemies Act. And as far as a follow-up is concerned, the Trump administration did appeal it, right? And in the appellate court, it failed. It was blocked again, right? Let's go through this very quickly. I'm gonna zoom in. Reading now, in a 2-1 decision, DC appellate court panel denies Trump administration emergency motion to put on hold Boasberg's order halting removal of Venezuelan illegals suspected of being members of Tren de Aragua. This is completely ridiculous that these DNC lunatics are so desperate to keep these people in the country. Megyn Kelly retweeted this or re-X'd it, reposted it, and said DC Circuit upholds Judge Boasberg on Trump's deportations of Venezuelan gang members. If only we had this kind of judicial second guessing of the president who let them into the country. And that's what really stands out the most concerning this insanity. So you have these judges, these DNC lunatics, that are blocking any and everything that Trump tries to put in motion, to which he has to try to appeal it. If he doesn't win the appeal, then they take it up to the Supreme Court, and it goes the other way around too. You know, if he does win the appeal, then the Democrats are going to take it up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court are going to do whatever they're going to do. And the Supreme Court, for as much as people like to say, you know, it's a MAGA court, you know, it's a packed MAGA court, you know, and they're just going to vote in favor of Donald Trump. That is not true. That is the farthest thing from the truth as it pertains to the Supreme Court. They're not just automatically going to vote in Trump's favor. And they've showed that on a couple of occasions already. But the fact that you even have to jump through all these hoops and hurdles to do such a basic thing like removing illegal immigrant gang members that are wreaking havoc in our cities across the country, once again, it just speaks volumes to the insanity that is the DNC. And as I bring things to a close, speaking of the insanity that is the DNC, look at this video here. This is another DNC lunatic judge talking crazy on MSNBC. Check this video out. Let's watch this. Oops, let me rewind it. Take from the top. And please hit the like button if you haven't already.
Do the same for Frontline Black News.
There were no procedures in place to notify people. Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemy Act than has happened here.
Wow.
No, she's right. They did. Now, the reason being why they got that is because of all the technology and engineering that they had from the Second World War.
Nazis got
because the Second World War
under the
had revolutionized
then Tren de Aragua
industrialization.
Yeah.
And then not to mention the fact that a lot of the Germans
snuck
out
man.
Going to Brazil.
Yep.
And as a matter of fact, there was a book and there was a film in the late 1970s called The Boys from Brazil.
Really?
Where they were furthering the experiments of Dr. Joseph Mengele.
That's what we're doing here.
Today they call it cloning.
Yeah, they were down in Central South America, Shabaka. That was in Brazil.
Exactly, in Brazil. Yeah, in Brazil.
Not just Brazil, Shabaka. They were in Argentina, They were.
Oh yeah, that's right. Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay,
and Chile.
and Brazil. Yeah.
Let me take it from the top. It's unbelievable.
There were no procedures in place to notify people. Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemy Act than has happened here. If the government says we don't have to give process for that, then y'all could have put me up on Saturday and thrown me on a plane, thinking I'm a member of Nicaragua and giving me.
There were no to date. There has not been not one American citizen who has been accidentally deported and snatched up and thrown on a plane or put on a bus and sent across the border. Anyways, I can't say what I really want to say. Just so stupid listening to this. You would think at a certain point you'd be accustomed to listening to this type of lunacy, but every now and then, like, it actually does genuinely get to you. Like, it's so stupid, it's so asinine. The fear mongering is so ridiculous and on such a whole nother level that just the fact that this exists, every now and then it's just kind of mind blowing. Once again, you would think you'd be used to listening to this by now, but sometimes it kind of genuinely gets to you, or at least to me. I'll hear this stuff and I'm just like, once again, I can't tell you what I'm really thinking. So I'll just let the video play.
Thinking I'm a member of
Brother Che, I'm out, man. I'll give you a call tomorrow.
If your argument
All right,
is
Crockett, thank you for staying up late.
he didn't have to do
Yes,
that,
sir.
it's
Thank
an
you for
intrusion on
having
the
me. And
president's
then, of
war
course,
powers.
we'll
The
have the
courts
show
are
prep for tomorrow
paralyzed.
for Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced. And we appreciate, all our viewers as well, too. This is Shabaka Sankoy for Frontline Black News, signing off from Sin City. I'm out.
Come on.
Huh?
I said, come on, 7-Eleven.
Oh, yeah. Clack, clack, clack. All right. Have a nice night. Okay.
To do anything